We're late only because we enjoyed talking with each other so much beforehand and didn't want anyone out there to be able to see it. Hi, my name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One Exp. Welcome to our Roll for Content channel. Plus One Exp is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and dream is that amazing designers could find great players who love their games, and amazing players can find great designers whose games they can love. We play a lot of different things here on the channel. They're all learning games. Sometimes we played the system before and we're playing an adventure in them, which is what's happening today. I have played Mork Borg once before. You can go watch that somewhere on the channel. But we are playing again today, and we are playing The Treasures of the Troll King, which is an adventure that Chris wrote, who's going to be playing with us today. Not as our GM, just as a fellow player, but I'm super excited to introduce you to everybody, to sit down, to play this adventure. I'm really glad you can join us. Also, really glad that we have a lot of people from over in Europe joining us, because it means that I can play in the middle of the day, which means my partner does not get mad at me or upset at me for being unavailable to her and my children all night long. And so I'm always thrilled whenever I get to play a game during the day. So I'm super excited about it. You can find us at Plus One Exp if you want to find out more about our brand. If you're watching on Twitch right now, there's all kinds of links down below. Please feel free to support the channel if you want to, but also we just hope that you have a good time with us today. You didn't come here to hear me talk about any of that. You came here to watch us play a game. Let's meet the people we're going to be playing with. We're going to start right above me from a viewer's standpoint. We're going to start with Alex. Alex, tell people who you are, what you do, and if you want to be found online, tell people how to find you.
Yeah, sure. My name is Alex Kingsley. If you want to find me online, I'm at AlexEquest. I use they and she pronouns. I'm a writer, game designer, comedian, and I'm also the co-founder of a little production company called Strong Branch Productions. We just put out a podcast called The Stench of Adventure, and we do a lot of other stuff too, games, web series, what have you. So that's most of what I do. And I'm living in Madrid, so that's where I'm coming to you from.
Yeah, awesome. And Alex, I should have done all this beforehand, but if you drop me a link to that in Discord, I'll drop a link in the chat for Stench of Adventure because it is very good and people should check it out. We're going to go next to our GM for the session. Sean, tell people a little about who you are, what you do, and if you want to be found online, where to find you online.
Well, hello, friends and enemies. I am Sean Smith. That's he and him. I'm a writer, a magician, a games designer. Basically, if I can find a way to make you spend too much time paying attention to something right in front of you, that's the sort of thing I like to do. I am weirdly obsessed with bugs in a variety of ways. You may have, my biggest game so far was one I released a few years back called Exuviae, which is about what if there were bugs that were taking over your town. So you can find that amongst other things. And I'm Sean F. Smith, and that's S-E-A-N, rather than any of the other false ways of spelling my name.
Awesome. And I know what you're thinking. Like, they probably recognize Sean and Chris from Indie TTRPG TikTok, and you're all probably thinking, how did we get the amount of star power here to have two of the biggest names in Indie TikTok tabletop RPG
Like two
community.
of the biggest names. You do mean two of the only names.
Two of the only names, yes. Of the three names, we couldn't get the third
longest
one on.
names.
Can we get some TikTok handles? Can we get some TikTok handles?
Absolutely.
As far as I can't remember exactly how it is, but I'm sure it's exactly the same for me. Chris, I think yours is Loot the Room UK, or is it Loot the Room?
Probably.
So see, when you flow in these circles, you just know each other's stuff better than you know your own stuff. That's so that's that's just how it is with celebrities. I get it. And Sean, first time on the stream. Thank you so much for being here. Another person who it is their first time on the stream. We have Vidya. Vidya, if you'll go ahead and tell people who you are, what you do, and if they can find you, if you want to be found online, where they can find you.
Sure, yeah. I'm Viditya. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me online. Very easy to find. It's just my name, at Viditya Maleti, everywhere. I'm blessed with great SEO. And yeah, I make games. I'm a part of some podcasts. I am on a channel called All Nerds Here, a Twitch channel called All Nerds Here, where we just finished our season, but we just did an entire 10 episode run of Passionados, Passionas. We're an all-bin podcast too, so it's really great. And you can find my own games at vidityavaleti.itch.io. I make a variety of stuff. Yeah, no, I have too many things to plug and I never remember any of them. So we'll see. We'll figure it out later.
Awesome.
But
No, and I even just rewrote your name more phonetically so I pronounce it better next time.
no worries.
And so, and then last but not least, the designer, the creator of the adventure that we are going to be going through tonight is Chris Bissett, who's going to be, Chris, go ahead and, I don't know what I said who's going to be. I don't know what you're going to be doing.
Who's going to be talking?
Why don't you tell us a little about who you are, what you do, where people can find you online, but also a little bit about Treasures of the Troll King.
Sure. Hello, I'm Chris Bissett. I am eternally online. You can find me on Twitter at Pangalactic. I'm a writer, musician, games designer, human from Manchester in the UK. Probably best known for my game, The Wretched. I'm really bad at talking about myself. I never know when to stop. Hi, I wrote this adventure that's about to happen. It is going live on Kickstarter tomorrow, 22 hours from now. I don't know what else to say. It's a really murky, grimy sewer crawl with some horrible, awful stuff in it that will make people not want to be my friend when they see it. And I'm really excited.
So we
to
thought we'd
kickstart it.
share it with you.
Yeah, I want to share it with the world. Johan No, who is one of the two people who made Mork Borg, has done some art for it. He did the cover. He's done some internal art. He sent me some like letter in for a header today that's just fucking. The man is disgustingly talented, and I am honoured to get to work with him, even on these few little things that he's done. So I can't wait. This is mainly a vehicle for me to pay one of my favorite artists to make art for me, to be honest.
Yeah. Awesome.
I didn't realize it was technically like official art. I was like, wow, that looks really good. That's like really on point. And of course it is.
Right? Yeah, I mean it's released under the third party license. The Mork Borg team have nothing officially to do with the adventure. It's not endorsed by them or anything. But Johan did do some art for it, and I'm banking on the fact that the art is really rad to get paid.
Art is great. Layout is gorgeous. From even just the samples that I've seen, I'm really excited for it. Also, I will say, one of the most amazing things, Johanna will every once in a while post like time lapses of doing art, and it's like watching magic happen, and it's disgustingly good and makes me jealous. And so no, I'm super excited to dive in. We always play with lines, veils, and the X card and play here on the channel, unless the system we're playing is another toolkit to play with. We've already established some of our lines and veils, so we have a strong line against sexual violence on the channel always. But if anybody else has any lines or veils they want to do, and Sean, maybe if you want to give a caution warning about some of the specific things that people are going to be getting into. We are playing Mork Borg, so if you don't know what that's like, welcome. If you do know that, that's like you're probably fine or not here anymore. So any other lines or veils that we want to add?
I'll start with what the expected stuff, so the kind of like the content notices. We are going to try and kill a horrid monster who is currently living in the sewers. So you should definitely expect horrid monstrosities, senseless violence, fecal matter, and just general despair. If the idea of poo or of cannibalism turns you off, then there's probably going to be quite a few too many parts in this here. That said, we are drawing a line against going too hard on the gore itself. I am a fan of horror. I often run horror games. I'm the sort of person who will sit down and watch Martyrs, and I recognise not everybody is that. So we won't be going too far in particular. But in general, there's not going to be anything about fingernails, toenails, or eyes. Sort. But I tend to go into bones quite often, so if you don't like bones, just be conscious that might happen.
Awesome.
I personally love bones.
You don't like bones.
I'm a big bone person.
I know, yeah. I love bones. They're all over me.
I want to throw out there, this is not a lighter veil. I just want to say that disgustingly good should probably be the tagline.
Yeah.
For this adventure.
Yeah.
We
haven't played it yet, so
we did play. We played Keegan's In Extremis last night, which is about necromancers flying through space and doing things, and I used the term extruded a lot. So I'm not saying I'm going to use it again today, but I might if I have a chance to extrude something. It may happen. And so a word that nobody knows how bothersome it is until you say it. Like it's not a one that jumps to the top of a list anywhere. But I'm just going to throw that out there right now. No, with that said, just remember if you can X things anytime you want. If something's too much, if we need to pause, that could be to figure something out. Something's distracting, or it could be that there's something issue. You don't have to explain what it is, but if you want to make sure that we know how to move forward in it or avoid whatever the specific issue was. If it's not obvious, please feel free to. Also, open door policy, take care of yourself. If you need to hop up for a second, mute things, please do. Just, type it in the chat, give us a heads up. We're all adults, and y'all are also more important than just having a technically perfect stream. And so please take care of that. We'll also take a break about halfway through. As well, if you're watching out there somewhere other than Twitch, I just did drop the link on Twitch. You're welcome to join us there. But if you have any comments, any questions as we're going through, feel free to drop them. We'll have a little conversation at the end, answering any of your questions, as well as talking about our thoughts around the game. But with that said, I'm just going to hand things over to Sean to take us into the game.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tony. So for those of you unfamiliar with Mork Borg, it is very Swedish. And very bright and simultaneously very dark. The book itself is an absolute work of art. I love it so much. There are 3 different paperweights within it as you're going through, and pretty much every single thing you could imagine existing in a printed book, it does. Mechanically, it's quite straightforward. It's pretty much you're rolling 1d20. It's so beautiful. And also, I only realized relatively recently that the book also has glow-in-the-dark lettering on the spine.
Yeah.
So every single thought has gone into this. And I'm actually the main reason I'm wearing a hat today is that I'm hoping to channel some of Johann's concepts, because any times I've seen him on stream, he's been wearing a hat. So this is my ideas stuff. It kind of fits within a lot of the nostalgic space of play. So it's much more about you discover your character rather than decide what they're going to be before you actually begin. But the rules themselves aren't very difficult. Combat gets a bit weirder. Players will be rolling all of the dice. The only dice I'll be rolling are to work out some things that are going on in the background, pretty much, which is great because it means I get to focus much more on the fun descriptions. So that's the game that we're playing, and it is set in a very, very dying world. Several years ago, the prophecies of a madman, a Mr. Schläger, all came true. He claimed that he was receiving some wisdom from the 2-headed basilisk, and every single thing that was written is now becoming correct. No one has seen the sun for, I apologize, my cat is moving my camera. No one has seen the sun for decades. And pretty much everything is just descended into horrid griminess. People that are pretty much waiting for the end and are going about in the way in which they see most effective. Today, we're going underneath that world, though. Specifically the biggest city right in the center of it, the city of Galgenbeck. It's not ruled over by a king or a queen, but is ruled over by a priestess, the high priestess of the Church of the Basilisks. And Galgenbeck itself is palimpsest. It's tumor. It's a city built on the ruins of itself, and beneath the sewers, the bones of the old city themselves fester. The Troll King, Niduk, was exiled. He was driven into the depths to rot and die. He's now twisted by his hatred and his rage, and he oversees the small domain that he's carved for himself in a forgotten chapel to a murdered god. And you're going to kill him. But who are you? Let us go through this way. Let us start with Alex. Who are you playing today? What do they look like, and what's iconic about them?
I am playing a heretical priest named Kaidor. They were once a part of is it Church of the 2-Headed Basilisk?
Yeah.
The Church of the 2-Headed Basilisk. But then discovered that they could talk to insects Is it in their head? Is it true? Who can say? But they hear the songs of worms and bugs, and it calls to them, and now they have run away from the church and are just an absolute mess. Constantly covered in dirt and nastiness, long hair, alcoholic, and just constantly got like bugs everywhere. But they're friends. And yeah, that's Kydor.
Alex, say that name for me one more time. Kindor.
Kydor, Kydor.
Excellent stuff.
And their pronouns are they, them here?
They, them.
Excellent stuff. Viditya, who are you today?
I'm playing Brinta, who also kind of grew up around the Cathedral of the Two-Headed Basilisk. However, Brinta uses she, her pronouns. She believes that she is the Two-Headed Basilisk, is an avatar of it, and very loudly objects to how the church is actually worshiping her. So they're not a fan of her, really. So she's usually found like in rundown like ruins and other like cathedrals that are just like no longer in practice, just like yelling out her gospel. Like, no, this is how I should be worshipped. Also, to signify this, she has crafted out of like twigs and sticks and stuff, like a head of a basilisk. Well, what she thinks is a basilisk, which really just looks like a mix between a chicken and a snake. But also, it's all made out of twigs, so you really can't tell.
Excellent stuff. Fantastic. Thanks for that. Chris, who are you?
I am Prugel, the cave dweller. I look like I've been dragged backwards out of a cave that I've spent most of my life living in. I am covered in blasphemous tattoos and scars that seem kind of self-inflicted, and I have a hawk on my shoulder who I speak to. It's hard to tell whether the hawk is happy to be with me or not, but it's there.
So
Does
good.
the hawk have a name? That's my big question.
Yes, the hawk is called Hawk.
Same as you'd expect.
Is that Hawk with a C or a K?
That's Hawk with a backwards K.
Backwards.
But
K.
Hawk with a W or a U?
W, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Fantastic.
I'm glad that we have a unified grubby aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we're all nasty.
You would definitely throw us all out of a pub, I think.
I'm
the sea.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said that, because I am Torn, and Torn is bitter and arrogant, but also hauntingly beautiful and unnervingly clean.
I'm glad we have one.
Like you pan across, like let's go ahead and make Torn uncomfortably tall. Also, too. Let's go she her. Pronouns. So like we kind of pan across the grubby individuals, and then at the end of the line we pan up just a little bit and see this unnervingly clean, absolutely beautiful, like dark-haired but black-eyed individual. And I am laden down with kind of slightly with a bunch of furs around my robes, and then a set of elixirs and vials around my waist. Because I am an occult herb master, and so, yeah.
Love it.
Amazing stuff. Fantastic. I'm gonna zone in on that whole idea of like you look like a group of people who would have been like thrown out of a pub, which is the inciting element here. A lot of you ran up too much of a bar bill, to the point where actually the only way that you could kind of throw it off and throw it back out is just like, right, there's this problem. You've got to go and sort out the troll king. He keeps
you know
messing
who I know
with
has
our
a
bar
bunch of
stuff.
money? Yeah.
How big was our tab?
It's probably just real easy. Like it's just a few bucks, but we're like,
You
got
got
anything on
a
you?
debt, so now you gotta pay it.
uh,
I got
You
nothing,
know
so I
what?
guess I'm gonna go kill the king.
Yeah, we just tried to get second beers after the first ones without paying, and they were like, "Nope, that's it.
Nope,
out."
nope.
Go do some murder now.
Look at the sign if you try and order again. Oh.
It clearly says
I
if
love-
you order a second beer, you have to kill the troll king. I don't make the rules.
Oh. So yeah, you each would have heard something though before going in. So let's roll on the rumor table. One of my favorite things to kind of start things off. So if you could all find yourself an 8-sided dice or a D8, and then roll that.
I can't believe that I grabbed the wrong size die for this when I wrote the damn thing.
Oh, that's going on the quiz. So.
Amateur.
I
Well,
rolled a 4.
A 4, fantastic. So Torn has heard that the sewers themselves are full of angels that are all fallen and are bloodied, and that they seek passage to the surface. Who did you hear that from? Like, is this something you overheard? Is this like a conversation that was had to you? Was that?
Yeah. We heard this in the bar. So while I was standing at the edge of the bar waiting for our drinks, I heard a sleeping drunk kind of whispering to themselves in the middle of a nightmare about this.
Excellent stuff. Alex, what did you roll?
I got 5.
5, fantastic. In this case, Kaidor has heard that there is a magic mirror which hides a great treasure.
Oh.
Did you learn this from the bugs, or was this?
I was gonna say, can I learn this from the bugs? I think Kaidor has a favorite. It's a worm named Splungy. And I think, and I think they're like, Splungy, tell me your wisdom. And then hold Splungy up to their ear, and Splungy whispers this.
Excellent stuff. Chris, how about yourself? What did you get?
I rolled a 3.
Uh-huh. You hear that that in the chapel where Niduk lives and uses as the seat of his power, that the gate to that will seal itself shut, and that can actually only be opened if somebody smears it with troll's blood.
Excellent.
How did you learn that though?
I think I divined that. I tell people that the fire speaks to me when I light a fire, but actually I just have some very, very potent mushrooms.
Excellent stuff. Viditya, what about yourself? What did you roll?
I rolled a 7.
A 7. You have heard, well, Brinter has heard, that a seer banished by the Shadow King, the Shadow King being a ruler of an entirely different city, and somebody else that was banished for heresy has fled here, and that it's her belief that she's going to bring Niduk back to Galgenbeck to secure vengeance.
Ooh.
What was, what's your history with that? Like, where did you?
I think I heard that from. I think I maybe have like a smattering of believers, and maybe one of them told me like they recognized me in the bar. And was like, "Oh my God, are you the two-bit Basilisk? Oh no, I have some news for you." And I think they told me that. I don't know where they heard it or anything, but I'm like, good. Here's a blessing. And they get to kiss my second hand.
What an honor.
Does it hold up to that? Like, is it the sort of?
I've been thinking about it.
They get some twigs stuck in their hair.
Oh no. It probably breaks apart a lot. I'm like constantly refixing it.
Amazing. So many hours later, you're all like ankle deep, wading through all manner of things. Like it's hard to tell exactly what color the waters are in the sewer. You just every now and then you're just finding like large brown chunks floating by, or like bloodied rags, which at least once or twice you kind of like you see them just like stop and eddy in the middle of the actual water itself, before kind of being like plucked down underneath. There's clearly something in the water there, but nothing's bit you yet, so it's probably best not to poke around too much and find out what it is. And this whole place it's not implausibly tall, but because the whole thing is like really round, it feels massively claustrophobic. The quality of the bricks isn't necessarily exactly as like as powerful and as secure as you would want them to be, for the fact that you're quite significantly under the ground. There are definitely a few things where you can hear up ahead of you that there are things that are just like fallen down into the actual water itself. And again, the stink here it's so overpoweringly strong, that you're almost like finding yourself breathing in different patterns without even being aware that that's what you're doing. It's almost impossible not to crinkle up like the top of your nose, because again, it's just that acrid and that grimy. And every now and then, as you're kind of like stepping down on the ground, things kind of shift underneath, and you're not sure if it's just the actual bricks themselves that are moving, or if you just like stepped in a large like gunked up pile of fat or something that's just blocking some of the area here. So that's what we see as we kind of like look across. But if this were a Guy Ritchie film, then as very loud music is playing, the screen would variously stop at different points. Then we get your name again flashing up underneath. And I just want to see like how it is that you're moving through this thing. Like, what is it as you're actually like down in here for the first part looking? And I think we really have to start with Torn, who is probably the least comfortable.
I'm so glad you asked, because I already had this in mind. I think we see Torn fairly placid around all this, because that's kind of Torn's way of being. But 100%, my robes are all gathered up and absolutely pulled high out of the water. Like, the rest of me is 100% just exposed to it. It's fine. But I am also incredibly unhappy about this. So you literally see, I don't know how high the water goes, but you definitely see me walking with my robes kind of pulled up and out to the side as we go through this muck and water.
Excellent stuff. And who next? Who's walking behind Torn?
I'll volunteer.
Oh, go ahead.
Prugel is like on the bits where the narrower parts that are kind of sloped, is trying to walk kind of like legs on either side, like as high up the walls as possible, and like bracing themselves against the ceiling to try and stay out of the sludge. But every now and then, like, they hit a particularly like crumbly bit or slippy bit and just like end up like sliding down like knee deep into the filth. Like, they probably would be cleaner if they just chose to walk in the shit, but they're doing the best to stay out of it, and that's just making them even worse than they were before.
Amazing stuff. Who's behind?
I can be behind. So Kaidor is very used to smelling bad, and is often told that just the exact same description of that they smell like you have to crinkle your nose just when you're around them. So they don't really mind it. So they're just kind of like almost swimming in the filth, like just kind of vibing. Not even noticing when it gets on them, because what they're doing right now is looking for friends, trying to find some like other little beetle guys, and to whisper to them and be like, "Do not hurt my companions. We are friends. We are friends. Do not be kind to them." And they're just kind of like whispering, but they're doing this all into the water for like water bugs. So everyone else just kind of sees them sticking their face in the gunk and going.
Oh, that's so awful.
Oh, I was going to ask if you had made any new friends, and oh God, so good.
Oh,
I think that'd be a really good chance for us to actually make the first important dice roll of the thing. So the vast majority of the the ability checks and so on in this are maybe the D20, and you're rolling adding one of 4 different attribute stats. Often you're aiming to hit the same target, which is a 12, although it can go all the way up to 18 or all the way down to 6. So in this case, could I get a presence check from Kaidor?
You sure can. That is going to be 8 plus 3. So 11.
Not quite. You do find a bug, but for some reason you don't like it.
It was looking at me weird.
Is it that it's like a centipede or something, and you're like, you're not a true bug, I'm afraid? Or is it,
What is a type of bug that Kaidor thinks is not actually a bug?
Yeah, where do I draw the line? Let's say I draw the line at Kaidor just hates the color yellow, and it's a yellow beetle, and they're like, "I'm sorry, friend. I can acknowledge you. However, you are not one of my clan." And just kind of shoves it aside into the murky water.
Does Hawk scoop it up as it's in the air?
I think that's very likely.
Kaidor is like horrified that their brethren, even though it was yellow, that it was just consumed.
no.
And goes,
And Brinta is at the back of this this procession. And what's her take on this entire place around her?
I think like she's like kind of unfazed. She's just kind of walking through. She's got like a big old shepherd's hook, I think is what it is. Yeah, I have a shepherd's crook. So it's just kind of like using it to kind of push away shit. And is just kind of like, I think just like saying like, just kind of rambling about this place, like all this refuge, like, don't you understand? The 2-headed basilisk would gladly repurpose this and use it to help the people, but instead we have this horrible system where it's just so much waste. Like, look at this, and like pulls up some weird rags, and it's like, wait, this could be someone's shirt, but now it's just down here, you know? It pulls up a gunk of fat, like, this is dinner for someone, and then like tosses it over. So you just hear like just this like rambling, like basically just sermons in the back of the back of the party.
Amazing. As you're all pushing further on, and again, this place is, you could, if you worked very carefully, you could kind of like shift the order in which you are. The astute old school referees in the audience will have noticed how subtly I was able to get your marching order there as well. May or may not become important. And as you're heading down this thing, quite often you're coming across segments where there are just like incredibly harsh corners. And at a point where you've just turned one, you see the space beyond is much, much wider. You kind of almost like come into a full bowl, which again, directly opposite, like the actual corridors themselves continue, although at a slightly different shape. It looks like beyond there's almost a bit of a walkway, but the walkway itself is still kind of like sloshed across and is mostly like built up all of these sorts of like grime and just like moving mulching puddles of things. And right in the center of this kind of like this bowl, this like shaft, you can see it goes all of the way up to, it's more natural light than you've seen in a bit of a while anyway, especially being down here. And right down at the bottom of that, just kind of like stuck directly out of the actual bits of water itself, there's a pile of coins. I mean, they're silver coins. They look reasonable, apart from the fact that they're all like smeared in feces. And as you're kind of like looking in and seeing this like this offering, what are you doing?
How high up does the tunnel? How high up is the tunnel?
So the shaft goes pretty much. You'd guess maybe about like 300 yards or something. It's quite a deep.
Okay.
Like quite a deep shaft in total. The segment that you're in, like you're at the bottom of it, it kind of actually like rolls around as like a full hemisphere almost.
No, that's fine. My dumb wait till somebody throws in a silver piece and throw it back out joke isn't going to work. Then I'm too far down.
Just try. It's unlikely to work.
Bruegel has no use for money.
Oh, really?
Bruegel's been living in a cave.
Kaidor thinks that this is an offering from the bugs of the sewer that love them so, and is like, friends, companions, this is a gift, and we mustn't turn down a gift. And then burbles into the water. Thank you, my companions.
Oh my
Thank you."
god.
Every time you put your face in the water, I feel nauseous.
I feel something, and it's not a good one.
And they don't acknowledge. They also don't notice that the coins are covered in feces because all of their coins are covered in feces, not their own. That's just how they got them. That's just how they got them.
That's how coins come.
This is just what coins look like.
What's a just for curiosity? What's a lot of silver? Because I have in my own pouch 133 silver. Is that a lot of silver?
That's a lot for a starting character in
Yeah.
Mork Borg. And you really only have starting characters in Mork Borg.
Right, yeah. That's what I wanted to make sure.
There is a pile. The pile here has more, not that much more, but
Sure.
But definitely like it's like you're walking into a place and seeing it's like this is at least of equivalent wealth to your wealth.
Okay.
Although yours is probably kept in slightly better condition.
Is it?
Wait, how much is yours again for comparison's sake, so I can know if I'm like loaded or not?
I have 133 silver.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
You have 10 times as much silver as me.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna fish through and see if I can find any coins that aren't. When I say fish through, I mean I'm gonna stick my sword in that that pile of coins and try to knock off some of the exterior ones and see if any of the ones like further down in this pile are not quite as shit stained.
Yeah. You're managing to like, because you're almost like having to still drag them across the floor. There's a few points where underneath the because it's not directly tiled as such, but it is definitely like strangely tessellated and so on. And as you're dragging the coins across, there's a few points where the coins actually like jab into that and like just get jammed and stuck. And in order to kind of pick them out, you've got to, again, like roll your sleeve all of the way up and reach down as far into this thing as you can get. I mean, it's not clean enough that you'd want to keep it in your mouth, but it definitely looks perfectly comfortable. And if you like gave it a bit of a rinse off, you'd probably be able to like give it to someone in a shop.
Well, I take the other 34 silver I have out of my mouth and put it in
You gotta keep it safe.
Since apparently that's where I was keeping my money before.
Mouse.
It's like each one come out individually.
I've trained for years, and I'll leave a couple down there. But I'll take some of these. I'll take like 10 cleaner ones that I find and put them in my pouch.
Okay. Brinta's gonna be like, what use do you have for these trinkets? Why take it?
Yeah, didn't we come down here because we didn't have money for a bar tab?
That's money?
Yes, this is money.
Oh.
That's then we flash down to your bulging coin purse.
I just thought these looked cool. I don't know. I was carrying them around.
Well, I guess we'll need a lot more of that. I don't know what this voice is. It's gonna go through a lot of.
It's a good voice. I'm enjoying it.
Just know that.
This is a character creation process.
This is
It's
we're
fine.
figuring it out.
We're discovering the voices of our character.
Characters are found, not decided. I think.
There we go.
There's the voice you start with and the voice you end up using, and so yeah. So I'll fish out how a dozen or so of these coins.
Nice.
Kydor will just like take the rest that no one else is taking because they don't care if whatever's on them. They don't even notice. And they're like, I must respect the creatures. Thank you. I must respect my friends. And it's like any beetles that they see are going, mwah, mwah.
Oh,
Incredible.
as you're like putting them away, and again, this is quite a significant pile of coins. You're just like somehow secreting on your person, and you're just getting this real sense of almost like of hope, and you kind of like just get this like immediate, almost like flashback style vision sense of something that is like it's a way away from here. It's out towards where the edge of the coast itself is, in a city that's kind of way beyond an enormous chasm, and you just see a corpse just with loads of bugs just writhing all over it, and you're seeing that, and you're like, and there's a real sense with that, in that that this is nice and strong and important, and actually weirdly it's also the same sort of concept that like Torn gets a really similar sort of vibe too. We're just imagining again somebody like looking down into this vast canyon beside this city that's ages away, and they are probably the oldest person you have seen in a long time, and they're just kind of like looking down and just seeing, and there's a real sense of like melancholy, but also of like promise perhaps there, and at least it is a large open space. You're looking down at the vastness of it there, and it's a nice brief respite from the close environment that you're currently in.
Awesome.
And then you're brutally jacked back to reality.
Yeah. What does it look like when you're just like experiencing it?
I think for Torn, you see Torn drop their robes into the sewage water,
No.
completely enraptured.
Oh my god.
Then he comes back and they're like, "Fuck."
Good. Embrace it.
Kydor is making a face kind of like, and then when they return to reality, it's like, the creatures have endowed me with a vision of paradise, in which all of the creatures may roam free on top of the remains of man. It is beautiful. And then they pull out Splunky and say, "Thank you, Splunky, thank you." Mwah.
That's not paradise.
The creatures say otherwise.
We all know the only true paradise is that of the two-headed basilisk.
Heresy! It's not true. I know it's not true. It's not true.
Oh. What's Prugel doing at this point with seeing this?
Prugel is
Right ahead of them.
Prugel is hunting for a slightly cleaner puddle of water in this less flooded area to try and like rinse some of the filth off themselves, and it's letting Hawk have a bit of a flap around.
It's quite like almost you're noticing that there's kind of a like a set of like dams or equivalent almost that are just pushing back, just like various like lumped up like mats of hair and of like just huge like agglomerations of fat, and then within the central part of that there's a kind of just it's a very very like lightly milky color rather than just the same like washed out greeny brown that's been
That's
everywhere
basically
else,
clear
and
water.
it's cleanish.
Yeah.
It's by far the best thing there. And actually, Hawk seems perfectly happy to like drink some of it and so on.
Ooh.
Um,
Yeah, I'll try and have a bit, as much of a wash as I can before we head back into the shit.
and actually, as you move onwards, you're able to like keep primarily to that sort of segment where it's a little bit raised. Your ankles are so cold as you're kind of going through this bit because you've just been like walking through this just like really dense, like, I mean, I don't think you'd officially call it a soup, but you might call it a broth. And it's just been like ice cold as you've just kind of been wading through. And now that actually it's open out to all of the elements, the only part of your feet that are wet now are just the very, very soles. And so everything else, you're just feeling this like real ice chill on your actual ankles. Just up ahead, the first bit of like difference in color almost starts to come forwards, and like torn spots. Initially, it kind of almost looks like a blood spatter or something on the wall, and then when you actually get a little bit closer and you're able to see a bit more with the light of your lanterns, that there are these just roses that are just growing out from like the cracks between the stones on the side of the walls, and they are the brightest thing you have seen in several years. They're so like vividly strong. It's almost like a blood blister that's just about to burst, like that richness of color. And although they're quite thorny, they're at least at a point where they're growing out of the wall. They're kind of taking over a little bit of the walkway. Like you've been able to tell whilst walking past, especially when like testing the depth with the crook. The segment next to this here is like it's a bit deeper. Like if you had to get back into the water, it would probably come up to your waist pretty much, or it might actually come up to like Torn's thighs. But you might be able to find a way to like force yourself beyond these roses. But I mean, it's a rose bush, so there are like pretty harsh thorns that you're going to scrape yourself on if you squeeze past. You do have room to kind of rearrange yourselves. But yeah, what is it you're doing?
Well, this is peculiar.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hack at the rose bush a little bit with my sword to see if it gives.
Yeah, you're able to like one thing you notice is the roses themselves are quite loosely attached to like where their stalks kind of align, and as you knock into that, almost like the whole of like the petals like fall off in one clump and just kind of like land down on the floor. They kind of almost like seep out a little bit, like if you like dropped a blackberry and then just like the really, really thin but like bright red that kind of like washes out from the side of it. You're able to clear a little bit of a path quite straightforwardly. It's not too heavy going, and actually it's like having a very, very fixed purpose, and like a direct barrier that you can kind of focus on here is quite a pleasant gap and like shift in terms of the actual monotony that you've previously had. You could keep going at it, clear the whole thing away. It wouldn't necessarily be particularly difficult. I imagine probably, well, as someone who is a various user of different types of plants and the like, I imagine that Prugel would probably find something like interesting about this, or at least might know something about this sort of thing. How does Prugel react to this like underground flower?
Prugel's very surprised to find anything growing down here, but shit is a good fertilizer, so it's not hugely surprising that there would be roses down here. What do they smell like? Like, do they smell good?
They don't necessarily smell good. I mean, the scent in here is just like so strong. It's been like it's quite like overwhelming as an actual sense, but they kind of almost like to take a deep breath of it. It smells quite pleasant, but not necessarily very floral. It almost smells like well smoked ham.
It's a weird thing for a rose
Huh.
to smell.
Yeah, so it's a nice smell, but it's just really quite like uncanny and not particularly comforting.
I think Prugel's going to have I got a knife of some kind? I'm going to use my sword to like take some cuttings from the roses and maybe pocket them. Maybe
Are you
have a look at
taking
them
any
when we
precautions
rest. Or...
to like prevent them bruising or anything? Or
I mean, I'll attempt to not grab the actual heads of the roses and not crush the petals, but there's not really much I can do once I stuff them in my pocket to not damage them. You know, I'll be gentle with them until they go in my pocket, and then I'll either forget about them or sit on them probably.
Eat them.
amazing stuff.
I could eat one. Do they seem edible?
Yeah, like roses in general are kind of like they're not necessarily the most like nutritious of a thing. Like you might use them like in desserts or something equivalent, but they definitely look like you could probably like chew down on it.
Maybe I'll have a little nibble on one of the petals.
There are a lot of people who eat
okay.
flower petals as a normal course. I had an aunt who that was a totally regular thing for.
A little munchy crunch.
Yeah. It's quite a nice like again, it's quite a nice taste. It's almost like a little bit like a kind of like a citrus sort of flavor. It's despite the fact it's kind of got the same sort of texture you'd get of like if you're like biting into raw liver, but there's a sort of
that's weird.
it's like spunkiness that you
Are
kind of
these
get to the thing of it, like
roses?
sherbet or something.
There's a lot of meat descriptions for these fucking roses.
These roses seem like really fleshy.
Like, that's unusual. I'll offer them round. Does anybody want a slightly meaty rose petal?
I think.
Oh, I love meaty roses. Yes.
That's a delicacy where I'm
my favorite.
My mother used to make these.
It's an old family recipe.
Did we? Sorry, maybe with all the new descriptions, I may have forgotten. Was there any description of what's underneath them, like where they're kind of growing in?
So they're mostly growing out of the actual brick of like the tunnel itself.
Okay, yeah.
In a few places, you can see that they've almost like taken over a part that was that like there was already a gap there. There's also still a few places where you can see that they've actually broken through the masonry itself.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, okay. So we can't like see exactly. It's like where the roots go. It's still pretty.
Give me one moment.
Sadly, no.
Sounds like the GM's trying to hide information from us. We better break down these walls.
I'm like, that's what I think. Like, well, I think Britta's like very curious. He's all like, this feels wrong. This is very strange. I kind of want to just like see if I can like chip away at it with like my crook, the end of my crook.
Yeah, you can kind of like it's not the best tool for the job.
Yes, yeah. Oh wait, I have a crowbar.
Oh, that was
That could be the best tool for the job.
That's a tool. I don't know why I have a crowbar.
Excellent stuff. Yeah. Do you want to give me a strength roll? And what you're looking to do is you're looking to hit a difficulty value of 10.
Oh well, let's see if I roll it. I rolled an 18. Hell yeah.
Nice. So yeah, you're like able to get an entire like. One of the benefits to the fact that all of this plant's grown through is that you've got all of these like small vines and branches that are kind of like matted themselves down when it's kind of fit between. And so you're able, as you get to the leverage point, to just take the whole chunk of this thing off, and you're able to break apart maybe about, I don't know, size of a torso or something. The part you can see beyond, although a lot of it is just kind of like beaten down, like just beaten down soil and kind of like really thick clay, you can see that there's like quite a significant amount of actual like this big like knot of actual roots, and this knot of like really sharp thorny vines that are kind of growing out. At the very, very core of it, you see what seems to look like a hand. It's kind of massively washed out in terms of color. It's quite hard to distinguish like how long it's been here. It's almost like a waterlogged corpse. But every single one of the very, very top parts of the fingers have just been like removed. Like they've not been. It's strange. They've not been like broken in the same way that the wall itself was broken as this tree root kind of grew through. But at some point they had been like quite cleanly cut.
Oh, okay.
Someone's hungry for fingers.
Are the flowers growing out of this corpse, did you say?
Yeah. So they're well, at least like it seems to be an equal part of this is almost like the focal part of where the roots are, but then there's definitely, as you can actually see, like quite a few of like the really thin tendrils that are like going down and almost like connecting up with where the veins and the capillaries would be.
I don't feel good about having eaten corpse flowers.
Well, now we understand the meatiness.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
At this point, Torn like reaches out and clips one of the flowers off and drops it into like a vial, sticks it in. Like now I'm super into it. And then also I think reaches out and clips off a finger and sticks that in a different vial.
Wow.
As he kind of like pull it away, it's almost like, have you ever like had a spring roll or like a pancake roll that was just too hot, and so when you've bitten into it, you're trying to like then pull away, but there's just too much bean sprout that are kind of like connected up and still. It's like that, just with a corpse finger.
It's upsetting on a number of levels.
Who wrote this adventure?
Yeah,
I
gotta say one of my favorite things during this has been watching Chris's face like get disgusted, and I'm like, wait a second.
What's really fun is I just tweeted this actually. I have a really bad memory anyway because ADHD is a motherfucker, and I wrote this in September, so like I can't remember much of it anyway.
I love that. I love that. That's really the idea way to play.
Yeah.
Kaidor thinks this is super cool, and they're like, "See, this is the way it is meant to be. Humankind falls, and the creatures have a home. And in order to get past, because we got to get past we're trying to get past the rose bush. It's blocking our path.
Yeah.
If there's one thing Kaidor is good at, it's being slimy. So they're gonna this little path that Torn has cleared. They're gonna take a little bit of the lard that they always carry with them. They're known for carrying around lard, if anyone knew them, which no one does, except the bugs, of course.
They're known for
it. And they're just gonna kind of like grease up a little, get nice and slick, and then just kind of slip past.
As you're almost like doing that as well, there's quite a few of the stronger branches that you're like having to stand down and just like break out of the way, and it's uncomfortably smooth just how like straightforward and easy it is to actually get through this space now.
I didn't even have to grease up.
There's like,
but you enjoy greasing up. So
but yeah, it was an enjoyable experience.
It wasn't
Kaidor does love a good greasing.
Yeah, and most importantly, the bugs enjoy it when you get greased up.
Yeah,
like that's
the bugs sometimes need a little bit of moisture.
It's definitely it's thoroughly supportive in that way, and yeah, so you like functionally by doing this, you're then providing like enough space for everybody else to be able to like follow through and kind of like get beyond.
Do we get like lard on us though?
Kaidor will offer. Would anyone like some lard? And kind of like demonstratively.
Oh my god!
Kind of squish it. It's very soft.
And yeah, so you're able to kind of like move on and kind of like press through. Who amongst you ate some of the flowers?
I ate some.
There's
Oh no.
I love that question. Sorry, by the way, for saying, can you eat the flower? and not doing it myself.
This
is
is
the
not
problem.
Oh, so yeah. So as you're kind of like still moving forwards, there's a point where you look at your hand, and in the same way that the fingers of the part of the corpse, at the very very tops of them were just gone. The two of you just sometimes just like see that the top of it's just not there, and you've just got those same like little like weird little tendrils, almost like nematodes, that are like poking out the far end of it. And then like again you blink and your fingers are back entirely there, and there are certain points where you can't see the edge, but if you were to touch it you can still feel your finger would be there, but you just can't entirely settle on this at all. It is weirdly also something you then start noticing of everybody else around you too, and each of you lose D2 presence.
Oh no!
By each of you, I mean only those of you who ate the food.
Presence is my only positive ability.
Not anymore.
So yeah,
I only lost one.
The easy way of doing it is roll any dice. If it's odd, it's 1. If it's even,
Okay, I was about to say D2. Hold on.
Flip a coin. I lost 1, so my presence is now 0.
How does that like manifest itself as you're kind of like and it's not a kind of like pulp stories, oh everything's going weird and stuff. It's much more of a lessening of self, and a kind of almost like slightly more like dissociative response necessarily, rather than a like a real gap or split between. But like, what do we see as the two of you just kind of like come to this realization of the strange hallucinations that are just consistently?
I think for Prugel, what it is that even if like the finger hallucinations stop, like the other, like there's always like residual hallucination now, like the edges of the vision are constantly like, you know, like when you see something on the edge of your vision, like something twitches or moves or something, it's like that constantly. And I think Prugel is just like very much always distracted by things that may or may not be there.
What about Kaidor?
So I think for Kaidor, I think actually the fingers itself, like, doesn't bother them, because they're always just waking up and being like, oh, my body's doing this today. Okay, I don't really, it's whatever. So they kind of see the finger thing and they go, that's weird. And like, it doesn't even clock that this is like a hallucination related to the flowers and all. Just, what do you know, my fingers. But I think the like dissociative aspect begins when they're used to the comforting feeling of their cockroach friends crawling across their back, and they can't feel it anymore. They can't feel the friends. And so it's like, where are my boys? What are the boys? And that feels uncomfortable to not have the presence of the roaches.
It's really sad.
Turns out Kaidor is a tragic character. We're gonna see them lose their bugs one by one.
Oh no.
Oh. The part beyond the actual like rosebush is like it's less secure still. Like you're noticing as you're heading through that there are more segments of the sewer walls that are kind of like cracked, and there are various parts where bricks have sort of like fallen out and fallen off. There are some segments where it's been repaired by some sort of like poured stone or something, like a kind of a really like low quality concrete style thing. And you can then also like notice really quite strongly as you're moving forward. So there's a very, very distinct scent of like fresh blood, like of someone that has like cut themselves recently, a kind of like really quite vivid, like almost overwhelming power of it. And the next segment that you come to is much, much larger than even like the bowl beforehand. Almost like if you were walking down like a subway tunnel, it's like you've kind of come to the station here at this point. But half of it, the roof has just like entirely collapsed. Just kind of come in. There's like furniture all over the place that's been like smashed apart. Quite a few corpses or bits of corpses in various different spaces. And right in the center, chewing on what at least appeared to have been a goblin at one point, is just this utterly vast creature. It almost like if you were to kind of like mix like a gorilla with a bison, in that kind of like the sort of way in which it's like stands, but it's like its shoulders, particularly its forearms, are just like massively like over knotted with muscle, with like various like white hot streaks of scar tissue that's kind of running through. It's got a horribly twisted face, particularly that's kind of like at the very top where it's got some like horns that are growing out. One of them almost like curls back round like a ram's horn. The other one like juts forwards and kind of like splinters out almost like a sort of deer antler or a lightning strike. And again, down at the base of its jaw, you can just see like various parts of bone that are almost like extruded beyond where the skin is. This is Niduk. He's here. He kind of like sees that you're there, but doesn't really particularly seem to care very much. Beyond kind of like spotting you there and then just like throwing across a limb from one of the corpses in your general direction. What would you like to do?
I'm going to roll a reaction for Hawk, I think.
Ooh.
I think Hawk is either going to shit themselves and flee or throw themselves at Niduk. I think I'm going to roll a d6, and I think if I get odd, Hawk's going to fuck off back down the corridor.
Ooh.
And if I get even, Hawk's going to just like dive bomb
Nope.
the troll.
It's Kez all over again.
That's a 1, so Hawk screeches and just like fucks off.
Oh my God.
Oh no! Where did he go?
Do you want
My
to,
boy.
Alex? Do you want to roll like 20 reaction rolls to see what the insects on your body?
Every single. All right, one of them stays, one of them goes. I do have a question though, which is how much would we know about Niduk? Like I'm thinking like Kydor probably doesn't know what's going on in the world. So do they like have any idea who or what this creature is?
Kydor might not necessarily personally know. As a group of people, like when you basically agreed to take on the absurd job, you were given some facts. And functionally, I will let each of you, as players, ask me one question for stuff you know as a group. And that can be pretty much anything. But if it seems ridiculously useful and on the nose, then I may give a rumoured answer rather than a correct answer. Let's start with Tony. Do you have a question? Like, what would you have wanted to find out about when going off to fight a troll king?
Sorry, something just went weird with my internet. So everybody who's seeing weird things right now, I apologize. We lost images for almost everybody for however long until my internet decides it's going to start working right again.
The hallucinations are spreading, and for that,
that is true. Yeah,
we planned this. We planned this.
I've actually never had this happen before. It's weirding me out a little bit. Come back to me in just 1 second. Let me see if I can resolve.
Yeah,
this
definitely. I shall come to you last. Instead, Chris, what would you have wanted to know about trolls?
It's a very good question that I wish I'd thought about while Tony was speaking.
I got one if you're one of them at one time.
I honestly don't know.
You can
Are they
crowdsource your
friendly?
question as well. Well, I didn't hear that. Sorry, I was talking.
Are they friendly?
No, they are.
Oh, God damn.
They're not. Like they're not out and out aggressive, but that's probably because they're too like cowardly to be aggressive.
Okay.
And so although you could be next to them and they probably wouldn't react if you provoke, like unless you provoked them.
Cool.
They're definitely not nice, friendly chums.
That's
Excellent.
useful.
Viditya, what would your question be?
This might also be a little on the nose, but like, how would you win their favor, or like, what's like a gesture that they appreciate?
So in general, they're kind of well, in this specific case, like most trolls are fairly solitary and like roam around, live in various places, eat as much as they can. If they deem an area to be too dangerous or awkward, they'll probably move on. The fact that Niduk hasn't done that is quite important.
Okay.
And in that sense, if you're like treating him as you might like approach a ruler or a leader or equivalent, then he's probably going to be predisposed to react positively.
Okay.
Alex, what would you ask?
So I have a question. I don't know if this counts as my question, but it's me as a player just straight up forgetting.
Yeah.
If Niduk is the Troll King that we are here to kill, or a different.
He is the Troll King.
This is the Troll King. Okay, yeah. Cool. I just got confused. And I was like, wait, is this someone else? Okay, in that case, Kynor would have wanted to ask, because they're like, all right, we go down and we kill the guy. How do we kill the guy? And sorry if that's too on the nose. It can be a rumor.
Basically, you want to make sure that it just doesn't get away. You probably wouldn't be massively predisposed to like trolls because they don't rot in the same way as normal. In the same way, like whenever they'd have like a wound, instead of it like sort of like atrophying, instead it just like hypertrophies, and basically the more hurt they get, the stronger they get. It's pretty much like any attack invariably behaves almost as like steroids, but they need some sort of like downtime to do that. Largely in the fact that bugs just can't, like most bugs will find a way of living on pretty much anything, but it doesn't work with trolls, because you like try and bite it and then the skin grows up and traps the bug inside.
Oh, kind of not like that. Trolls are an abomination to the creatures.
Yeah.
It must be destroyed.
Excellent. Tony, what would you ask?
I was about to make a really dumb joke, and the rest like, I don't want to make that joke. I'll tell you all about it later. What would an appropriate offering be to try to appease the Troll King?
So in general, it's quite a fan of just food and eating and just consuming. And although it's not really, although it's not really it's not necessarily a connoisseur of things. This is definitely something that is keyed to a specific place, and would appreciate like a rarity of something that it could eat that was not from here.
Interesting.
And these are things that you
we got
before you get
lard.
there.
Yeah.
You got lard.
Also,
Yeah.
we just got rated by Damn Fine Cup of Streaming, coming over and joining us from their channel. Hey, how are you folks doing? We're playing some Mork Borg. We're playing through a Treasures of the Troll King adventure that Chris wrote, and Shauna's running for us. And I think Chris has been disgusted more times than anybody else. From Dice
yeah.
from our friends at Dice Drinks. Awesome.
Nice. We're very much, we are walking through a sewer to go and kill a troll. So just expect, those of you who have just joined us, if you're not a fan of like floating bits of poo, this might not be the thing to focus on.
I have a lot of that already.
Yeah. Major Tamara, who's from Dice Drinks, actually would have been on this stream had they not been streaming at the same time, because is one of the loves the gross stuff that we sometimes do on this stream more than probably anyone else. So
amazing, yeah. So the like the four of you kind of like come into this large section where like the biggest troll you have ever seen. It's almost got like a big knot of like knotted gristle just like stuck between its horns. Looks across at you all, like throws you like a half-chewed limb of something that clearly was like killed by the collapsing roof at some point here. And yeah, like what are you all doing? Unfortunately, Prugel's hawk has reacted to the situation by fleeing. The rest of you can choose your responses.
Brenta is going to immediately kind of break out and go, "Oh, wondrous Troll King! And then like bows. We traverse your sewers in hopes of winning your favor." And then I like turn around to y'all and I give you all like a wink. How goes you?
Kaidor does not understand the implications at all because they don't spend time with people and don't understand social cues. So they just pull out their knife and go, "We kill now?" And it kind of makes a little like, yes.
Did you stab me now?
Yes, Lundy, I know. It's time. It's time.
Oh my god.
Quiet you.
Prugel is very much going to follow everyone's lead because they are completely torn between go after Hawk and stab the troll. So I'm just going to go with whatever the majority do. Prugel's kind of like,
I take out a bunch of my rations and I break some. I'm gonna like mix that rose that I have in there. Like Matt. Oh, we lost our GM. Hold on.
We lost our GM.
Yeah, we.
So we
Well,
kill
it's up to
Nidu.
us now.
We kill it. We do all the things. Oh crap! Hold on. Let me. Let me whip up a different scene so we don't look super weird while we're figuring out what happened to our GM. All the pleasures of live streaming.
Laptop crashed. He's restarting.
Okay. We'll just talk for a second there. And we'll just leave things. Oh no, there we go. All right, perfect.
No.
The beauty of solid state hard drives, folks.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
we killed Nardik while you were gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually finished the whole
win.
thing. We're done.
what was the killing blow?
It was yeah.
Yeah, it is a surprise return. Just
Oh, it reminds me of one of my favorite sequences from video games from probably about 12 years ago when House of the Dead Overkill came out, which was very much a pastiche of like B movies. To the fact that the back of the box said it was like something out of a video game.
Oh, that's very good.
And the part in that, like the end of like the 10th chapter, when you've been going all of the way through to then like get to the end, work out exactly what's going on. The final boss crashes into some like weird reanimation fluid, and then
Spoilers
it appears this gigantic zombie, and then it goes real missing, and immediately after, the good job we found those miniguns. But then luckily you do get to use the miniguns against the same boss who comes back.
Oh, good. Yes.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, I think when you were crashing out, I was in the middle of taking out a bunch of the rations that I have with me and muddling them with some herbs and that rose to try to make some semblance of a exotic dish to feed. Is it? I think I said Narduk, which I think is incorrect. Is it Niddick? How is it pronounced?
Yeah. Well, actually, like we can defer to the voice of the author here.
Yeah. What's the canon pronunciation?
Niduk was how I said it in the trailer.
Niduk. There we go. So Niduk, I don't know that I get close. Like I probably get like 10 yards away and then like slide it over.
We bring you an offering.
Condor will now understand that it is not stab time, and
Yeah.
slowly put the knife back, and then take out the lard and just kind of
Oh,
plop
no.
plop it on top.
Several offerings.
What is this?
I was trying to figure out if Sean was crashing down
Lard.
again.
Yeah, same. I was like, oh no, it's lard. It's lard.
It's
There is much of this here. Why would you give me this? There is so much fat that there is not bone in that. There is not gristle.
there's at least
There's
one. There's at
extra
least
crunch.
one bone in there.
Didn't expect the troll to talk. That
Um,
makes killing him so much more awkward.
Would you like a bug?
we can put some bugs on there.
They don't mind.
I mean, like-
They sacrifice themselves willingly.
He reaches across and you can see that like right at the end of his fingers, just like the bone itself is absolutely like perfectly focused. And it just kind of comes across and just picks it up really quite beautifully, and then just comes across and he just flicks it into his mouth. And you can see him like swallowing the whole thing without even chewing. He's like, I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You may join me in this place. Eat of the food. Niduk welcomes that.
And then he kind of tramps back round, sits down, and just kind of like picks up the goblin that he was eating, and like ever so slowly, like just like splits it up into a couple of different pieces, and then just puts some of them down, and just puts some of the other ones down.
I think Brunta turns to the party, whispers, I don't know. I mean, seems like a nice guy. I don't know why we gotta kill him.
Yeah, this got really awkward.
Hey,
I've
I'll eat some of the food.
I've never-
Kylo will-
I've
Oh
never
yeah.
I've never eaten goblin before. I don't.
It's all right.
Yeah, the other things to know about. So Mork Borg in general doesn't really have true canon. Like quite a lot of games that have come out within the last 2 or 3 years have specifically designed it that whatever is canon is what is played at the table, pretty much. But the standard rule is that goblins are all the result of a curse, where if you get hurt by a goblin, it's like not even if you get like actually damaged by one, but if you are attacked by a goblin, then over the next couple of weeks you will start to turn into a goblin
What about
until you
emotionally?
kill the one who's attacked you.
Emotional.
So
What if a goblin
You
breaks
would-
your heart? This is a legitimate question, by the way.
you would know that. There have been no examples of when this actually like this curse spreading through the meat, but
But if I eat this goblin, then I feel emotionally bad about it afterwards. I might turn into a goblin.
Right.
Yeah.
it's possible. But also, it's definitely cannibalism one step removed.
Huh.
Cool.
Kydor has no problem with cannibalism. Might have a problem turning into a goblin, but it should be fine.
I'll like pick at my goblin. Stick it into the folds of my robe as I'm eating.
I feed the goblin to my second head. I must nourish the basilisk god. I am the basilisk god. I must nourish my other self.
Oh, beautiful.
Kydor will feed the goblin arm to the many insects and be like, "Yes, and one for you, and one for you, and of course, Spunky, of course, you got some as well." And then eat their own like like that.
I actually like finally managed to dislodge some of the like. It wasn't clear if it was a leech or if it was just like something else, the same sort of like color and shape as a leech that had just been like stuck to your cheek for a while. That certainly comes off when you're chowing down on this. And like, how is
what
it?
do you
Like,
know? I didn't even notice I was there.
how is it you're like looking at each other whilst you're kind of like sat here, functionally like sharing a meal with the person that you've been sent to kill?
Oh, I'm not making eye contact at all.
Oh, the vibes are awkward. The vibes
The most
are awkward.
awkwardly quiet meal.
I'm staring off into the middle distance for sure.
Are we all just kind of like waiting for Niduk to leave so we can talk about this?
I mean, Britta could probably try and strike up would probably try and strike up a conversation with Niduk. Oh, Troll King, thank you so much for your generosity. We come from the surface, and kind of like kind of nervously looks at y'all, like chuckling. Funny enough, actually, we were sent to kill you.
We were. It's true.
But you're a pretty cool guy. No, I don't think you're a pretty cool guy. The Troll King. You're such a gracious host. We appreciate it.
They very much is like.
They said when they let me go, that they would let me stay here herself. But the fact that they send such folks down as you to finish the job that they were too scared to do. Kill me. You may join me, if you wish. I'm in the need of more servants, in the need of more subjects. What say you?
I must consult my worm.
I mean, I'm not subject to anyone currently. That doesn't sound so horrible. What all does it entail?
What does
Will
it
you pay our bar tab?
That's really what the important question is.
Yeah, we just as long as we can get our bar tab paid.
If we don't ever come back to the surface, then it doesn't matter.
I'd like to go back to the surface, I think.
Yeah.
It would involve you staying here with me. What is a king without his court? And of course there is much that must be known. My heir needs extra people to look after him. I cannot do it all alone, for I must eat. Perhaps you might do the same as yourself.
Do you plan to eat us?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, in time.
So that's going to be a hard no from Spunky.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'm afraid I have to listen to my worm. That's just, I must listen to the creatures that I serve. I hear their song. You know how it is.
I haven't spent much time around people, but I think that's what's known as fighting talk.
It is not as punishment. It will come at the end of your service. Once you have chosen to retire.
Inevitably, it will come at the end of our service.
I do want to be eaten when I die, but I would prefer it to be by the creatures, by my beloved insects, and not a troll, which I believe is an abomination. So it's I'm afraid it goes against my faith. And Splunky, my top advisor, and they'll show Splunky to show off agrees with me, unfortunately. So I think we may have to. Suddenly, Kaido has gotten very formal. I'm afraid we are going to have to, and then they'll pull out the knife and do another.
Oh
I don't know
my
if you've
god.
ever seen like a gorilla with too many horns and like jutting bits of jaw out of the bottom of its face in a sulk, but that's essentially what you're seeing.
Oh my
now.
god. Are you kidding?
You hurt the Troll King's feelings.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
The Troll King's gonna turn into a Kaidor in like over the next couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And he goes back to eating, but it's definitely with a lot less like vigor than before.
The bugs say they're sorry. They really do. They mean it.
So I'm gonna like excuse myself for a moment. I'm just gonna go look around. What else is it like? While I'm just staying in the same space, but what else is in the area that we're at? Like, is it just like us and the Troll King in a middle of a giant room, or
kind of? I mean, like half the room is like suffering under all of the like the actual collapsed like part of the roof that had collapsed in. So it's almost like if you imagine that you've essentially got like quite a long rectangle here, this entire half section is just, you could kind of climb it. It's not really very, very safe to do so. There's various pieces of like furniture and stuff that's underneath. There are chairs. There's all manner of like cupboards and shelves that have kind of like once been here of fairly poor quality wood that have just been like smashed apart. There are a few corpses. Some of them look like they've been like shoved in here relatively recently. Some of them look pretty old, like they possibly actually were like killed during the collapse. They're dressed in fairly typical like Galgenbeck fashion. They look like just essentially like petty thieves and someone similar who are kind of like using this space and have just died. What they once were, they're now mostly their parts all in the same sort of place. Every single thing has been chewed on a bit.
so these are like leavings that Naduk has already had their way with.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably like, he doesn't really have a very like systematic process. He's not like picked up one drumstick, consumed all of the meat, put it down. He's like having a few, picking something else up, letting the first one drop. It's kind of like all of them are like partially gnawed. Each one of them has still got some stuff to kind of go back to.
Cool. I'm just gonna look for some of the choicest bits of people then, and just like arrange those so that Naduk has another option if they're still hungry when they're done with this goblin.
We'll snack.
There is like a really like ropey looking arm that's kind of mostly forearm. There's like it's a little bit like a bird's leg, where it kind of like seems to be jointed quite awkwardly. But the actual thing itself is just like far too long, and like tight little like a tight little fist at the very end of it. And as you do pick that up, it does like flinch at you.
I would say that type of flavor text 100% sounds like something's gone wrong.
And grab at your face, which I think, considering that we're about an hour and a half in, I think that would make the perfect cliffhanger for a brief break.
Awesome, let's do it.
Okay.
As this limb flinches at me, we're going to take a just short 5-minute break. We're going to take care of ourselves. We think you should take care of yourselves also too. If you haven't yet, go walk around, drink some water, hydrate a little bit, get something to eat, take care of yourself. Tell somebody you love them. If you do, don't tell people you love them if you don't. And we'll be back in just 5 minutes. We're going to go take care of ourselves. We're going to play some more of the Treasures of the Troll King, which is a Mork Borg adventure by Chris Bissett. It's a sewer crawl, and I'm about to die. It's going to be great. We'll be back in just a few moments. We'll be coming back live in just one moment, but in the meantime, I wanted to tell you about a couple things that we have coming up here on the channel. In addition to actual plays, we oftentimes host community conversations. Be about all kinds of different things. We've got a few great ones planned over the next couple months. This month, we are talking specifically about itch funding. If you're not familiar with the concept of itch funding, it's taking the itch.io website and using it to replicate a lot of the best practices from Kickstarter, but then adding in best practices from marketing and other ways that you can use the tool. There's a whole lot of questions around accessibility. Some people in some parts of the world who are important parts of the TTRPG community can't use Kickstarter. Also, there's a lot of other different things that are really hard and emotionally draining about running a Kickstarter that using itch for is it's just a much more friendlier, slightly more humane and easier for the creator process. Something that people have just started doing over the last few months. And so we've invited some of the folks who have done that on to talk about their games, their projects, and how that's evolved. If you want to check out more about the games that are doing that, you can go to itchfunding.games to find out more information about that. It's a site that Keegan put together, but we are going to be hosting those conversations at 9 p.m. on May 4th, 5th, and 6th. The reason we're doing it a little bit later in the day is we want to make sure that the Latin American RPG community, as well as the CRPG and Asian RPG communities, are able to access those conversations easily because they're a huge part of why itch funding is so important to us. So if you want to come back for those conversations, find out more about itch funding, how you do it, how it can help make great games available, and what are some of the things people are doing. That's going to be on the 4th, 5th, and 6th at 9 p.m. We'd love to have you come back and do that. By the way, we host all these community conversations as well as the content we do for free. We don't charge the creators or anyone else any sort of money to come on and be a part of this. We don't believe that indie RPG creators should have to pay to have their goods marketed, shared, and brought to an audience of players who already wants them but may not know how to discover them. And so we take that on. When we talk about making Bardic content, we talk about how we support the rest of the TTRPG community in that. If you want to help us keep that content free and support those creators while being able to pay our team, not me actually, but we've got an amazing graphic designer in the Philippines, Johnny, and we've got an amazing editor, Tristan, here in the US, who does all of our video content for our polished reviews. All this money goes to help support them and grow the channel. You can go to Ko-Fi or coffee.com and /Plus One Exp to support us. If you're watching right now on Twitch, there is a link down below, but we'd love to have you support us if you're able to. And if you're not, no problem. We also do some giveaways on those channels for people in that community, and you get insight into, or you create insight into how we are doing the channel and guiding it. If you're able to support us in any way, we appreciate it, but we will be back in just a couple minutes to kick back live. Actually, in less than a minute, because I talked for longer than I meant to, but we'll be back in just 1 second. And we are live again. We are playing Treasures of the Troll King. By the way, Cia Berlitz, yes, 9 p.m. Eastern time is when we're going to be hosting that. I know it's like 10 p.m. for parts of Brazil, but when we were looking at how we include both the U.S., Latin American, and RPGC communities, our options were 10 a.m., which would have let the UK folks join us also too, but we said screw Britain and no, we actually just had a lot more availability at 9 p.m. for people to have those conversations. So 9 p.m. Eastern time is what we're doing. If you want to wake up very, very early or stay up very, very late in the UK, you're welcome to join us also too. But yeah, so we are back. Also, thank you to both Loot the Room and to Gary, Casualty CDG, for hosting us also too for this stream. We appreciate you guys sharing the stream as well. And we're just gonna hop back in. By the way, if you don't know what we're doing, it's a more Mork Borg sewer crawl, light cannibalism. Caution warning.
Heavy sewage, caution warning.
Yeah. Feces, caution warning. Mork Borg, caution warning.
Bugs. Yeah, we can talk a lot about bugs.
There's been a lot of bugs.
A lot of bugs.
Many bugs.
Yeah. And surprisingly little violence. That's the that's the classic way. Until now, I picked up a bunch of limbs, in part knowing that there was a weird limb in here and hoping that it would come at me. And guess what? this limb I picked up just started trying to flinch at my face.
What if like the scene had frozen, and if we were to do this in the style of one of the oldest forms of literature and of a stage play, when the curtain reopens and you're almost like stuck in this sort of in this freeze, could you describe what it is that Torn looks like here, Tony? For
I think
just
Torn,
a
part
real
of the
nice beauty.
part of the unreality of the unnerving aspect of Torn's beauty is like the lack of emotional reaction. So I think what we see here is just like it wouldn't work on a stage play, but we would like zoom in on the iris of Torn's black eyes and see that ropey like clawed hand like coming closer and closer and closer, and then we would just see the eyebrow like arch up above that, as she's just gonna try to fling that dang thing away.
Excellent stuff. You do get to go first. So the way that combat in Mork Borg works is you have like each side will go like once at a time. That's rolled each round, so there is a chance that like you may have like two things back to back. But yeah, you are going first. You're currently holding a thing which is trying to grab you, and so you can certainly throw it away and get back. Is there anything else you want to do? It will still try to eat your face.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it away. I'm gonna step back and pull out my sword, which maybe I already have my sword up. Point my sword at it is pretty much the plan.
Is that with an attempt to frighten it, or is that just so that you're prepared to?
That's protective. Like it flinched at me, but it wasn't like crawling across the room before, so I don't know what's going to happen now. I guess I will also say, Niduk, I found some bone and gristle.
Good.
You can see he like does look over. He's like, how about the rest of you, as you can kind of see this like flurry of activity, and this arm that's kind of, I mean, it's only about the length of like your forearm now, but it looks like strangely elongated in the wrong kind of part of it. It's got too many different bends in it there. Tiny little fist with like quite small fingers, each of which kind of like are split in the middle and then recombine. Yeah, what are the rest of you doing?
The first thing Kaidor is going to do is protect the creature. So kind of put a protective hand over Smungy and be like, look away! This is not for your delicate eyes, little one.
Oh.
And kind of put them, the worm is also non-binary naturally, put them back in their pocket.
I think Brinta's gonna be like, well, Troll King, there seems to be trouble in your court.
The locals are getting rowdy.
What is Purgle doing?
I think Prugel is going to step back out of the chamber and whistle for Hawk. And I will leave it up to you to let me know whether that is effective or not.
I think, especially considering your presence dropped recently, that you should make a presence roll against a target of a 12.
12.
So yeah, so what we're doing is it's a single roll of D20. Typically, we're aiming at 12 as the standard goal, and most modifiers, especially at the beginning, are very small.
4.
It's that flesh rose.
You hear Hawk respond, but very much in a "No, I'm not coming."
There is a troll in there. Get fucked.
Did you not see the troll?
I know where you are. I know what's in there, and absolutely not.
There are bugs out here, and I am happy. Yes. If you could speak Hawk, Hawk would say so many things.
Hawk has some choice words for you.
Yes.
The goblin arm hurls itself at Torn again, almost like like levering itself up and then kind of like landing back down to try and like grab onto the side of the sword and like replicate its like energy and like momentum forwards. So could you defend against that attack, Torn? What you're looking at here is you're looking at making a it's an agility check. The difficulty is 14 because this thing is very, very fast.
Well, if my thing wasn't on an angle, it'd be easier. That's going to be a 16.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so as this like launches itself towards you, like you were prepared, you were able to like have your sword in such a way that you can just like shift the momentum and it kind of like throws itself off across like essentially behind your back. And yeah, the moment is yours as a group. What are you doing? You can see Niduk is kind of putting down his food, but he's not rushing.
Well, this thing came at me, so I'm gonna stab it.
Nice. So yeah, so that would be a strength check. Again, you're looking against doing it against a 14.
Nope.
What's that look like? Like, is it that you're not?
Well, it had grabbed my sword, and I think that what it is it grabbed my sword. I picked my sword up and just went like that, which doesn't work just from a physics standpoint. Like it was on my sword, so it just moved when my sword moved.
It's worth a try.
Nice. How about the rest of you?
So I would like to know if this is allowed. Looking back at my character sheet, have discovered that this whole time I have had a donkey, and I would like to say that this entire time my loyal donkey has been following behind us, and at this moment I say, "Oh God, I have to name the donkey Bronchus now." And then I call upon Bronchus to attack for me. Is that allowed?
I think certainly so, because I did see it on your sheet at the beginning and then forgot to ask what's happening. But I mean,
I got so caught up with the bugs
that hasn't actually had the space for it to actually get past. So yeah.
My loyal Bronchus, come to me.
I'm really glad we didn't know that Bronchus existed until right now, because otherwise I feel like Bronchus may have gotten eaten by a troll king.
Yeah. We would have definitely.
All right, Bronchus.
Excellent stuff. So yeah. So in this case, Alex, if you can roll a d20, other creatures don't add anything to this, but it's still considered 14.
14. Okay, and what am I adding to this?
No things. Absolutely.
Oh no, that's what you said.
Yeah.
9.
And like Bronchus is very, very matted. Like the entirety of like the forelocks and just every single part there is.
I do not clean him.
Full on clad with just like vileness, and functionally it's just nowhere near quick enough at this point to kind of like to get down. It's definitely a lot closer, and will at least be able to be fairly useful soon, but essentially just hasn't made up the distance yet. It's kind of like running in a heroic way, as a heroic donkey does.
I feel like their Bronchus is probably just an excuse to have a bunch of flies around. I also feel like there's got to be at least one festering wound with maggots in it that you won't clean because the maggots are.
Because I love them so much.
Oh.
Absolutely, that's how Bronchus and I found each other.
Oh.
Is I thought we were bonding over a mutual love of flies. However, Bronchus actually feels quite indifferent towards me. And I was just like, "Oh, you have your followers and I have mine. We should travel together." So when Bronchus fails to come to our rescue, I say, "It's okay, my brave Bronchus. You did your best, and that's what matters."
Oh my God, Bronchus.
My noble Broncus. Be well.
What's Brinta doing at this? Are you going to try to redouble your efforts to convince the Troll King to do stuff? Are you wading in yourself?
Huh. Because you said that the Troll King is like stirring, but is in no hurry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. I think Brinta's gonna like pull out her battle axe, because I also forgot to have a battle axe on me. And it's gonna be like, well, Your Highness, it would be a shame if one of your guests died in your room. Please call off your wretched guards.
Can you make me a presence check against the 12?
I'll do it. 16. I think
Okay.
Brinta's like, this is definitely like a part of the Troll King. Like the Troll King's kept messing with us, I think. Is the whole thing.
And he kind of like turns directly towards you, and he's got like a chunk of food in his mouth that he just like lets drop. Like, very well. Like stands up, goes across, and just like grabs this thing. Like the entirety of his hand just comes down into almost like this big, just like meaty slab. Just kind of like crunches this whole thing up. Like within itself, you can see like just the elbow like twitching out of the other end of it. And then eventually it's just crumpled and then just dropped to the ground, and it's no longer moving. And you can kind of see that there's like a little bit of like a thin, almost like purplish sort of liquid just like seeping out of it.
Was it obviously a goblin arm?
Yeah, in the sense that it matches the rest of the corpse that Niduk has been chewing on at the moment. It's just like another part of.
So the goblin that it came from potentially is dead.
Yeah.
Which means that Tony, I can't remember your character's name. I'm sorry.
Torn.
Torn. Hopefully hasn't got goblin.
Yeah.
Is that a realistic thing to think that Torn maybe won't turn into a goblin?
I definitely think that like it's certainly it's a leap of logic that you would easily take. The goblin that had attacked is dead, and therefore presumably there won't be the continuation in the contagion.
Prugel is going to keep a very close eye on Torn.
Are you feeling particularly goblin-y? Just
very close eye.
You just keep like putting your arm in front of their mouth, like
yeah.
No, okay.
Hey, are you feeling that? You feeling anything?
You feeling anything?
Just what? Just checking.
You want a munch?
If they suddenly stop, if she suddenly stops keeping herself meticulously clean, we know we're in trouble.
Kaidor is going to say, Broncus, stand down. Good boy. Because in their mind, Broncus was like, I gotta fuck some shit up. And now they're like sparing everyone from Broncus's rage.
Oh my god.
Almost stands with a certain sense of like almost looks like a stallion at that point there, where they're kind of like the pride that's almost like bestowed upon him. At this point, you can see that Niduk is just wandering off now. He's kind of left half of the stuff that's there. He is heading in the direction in which you had kind of came from, which is like away from where you were told that like his home chapel essentially is. He doesn't even like bother to say goodbye as he goes.
Rude?
Yes. Excuse me, sir. We still have to kill you. Where are you going?
Oh my god.
Where Where are you going?
This is half-hearted. No, wait, come back.
Yeah. No, come on.
Don't go.
Okay. Hey, can you tell us
Maybe
where
we
your
should-
treasure is?
Well, maybe we should follow him and wait for
think we
him to be asleep, and then kill him while he sleeps.
Ooh. There was who got the rumor about needing troll blood to open the
So I heard a rumor that the gates of the chapel will seal behind you, and that you need to
Oh.
smear it with troll blood to get back out.
Okay.
So sounding like we definitely need to kill this troll.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah,
Or get some
Sound
blood.
like it.
yeah. Although he said something about his heir as well, which is a
Oh, yeah.
worrying,
Yeah, I'm
thing.
I'm concerned about this.
Okay. What's the plan of attack? Are we gonna wait for him to sleep?
I
Maybe
mean,
we track him back to his lair.
well, right now
Mhm.
he's moving away from the direction we think is his lair. So what if we just went to the lair real quick and got all the good stuff?
I'm also okay with that.
That also works, yeah.
Will we still be stuck here if we don't have his blood?
But I mean,
there's
if
a
he comes
lair.
back after us, then he must have a way to get in, right?
Oh.
So if we go loot the place, and then when he comes back, he opens the door and we slip out around him, and then we go back to the upstairs and say, "Oh yeah, we totally killed him."
Oh yeah, that sounds like flawless logic.
How else
Oh,
would we
yeah.
have the stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have just
Yeah,
asked
we
him
must
for
be
money.
dead. Yeah, we really should have done that. That was an oversight on our part.
Just been like,
I
hey,
maybe shouldn't have taken out the knife. In retrospect, I should have taken out the knife so early. So I am really sorry about that, guys. And Kydor looks kind of sad and is apologizing.
it is okay. You will learn under the tutelage of the two-headed basilisk, the true one.
I do appreciate your kindness, Brinda. However, what you're saying is in fact a blasphemy. So I feel a little mixed.
To each their own.
To each bugs.
Yeah.
So we're going to the lair and getting stuff.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I like
All
that.
right, let's do it.
So as you move on through the segment, where the roof had collapsed, it had taken off a certain amount of the actual path itself, but you're able to make excuse me, you're able to essentially make your way round through this bit. The next segment is quite it's almost like quite raised. There's actually no like direct sewage running through this point here. There are every now and then vents, so you do sometimes like kind of just get like a really strong just like whiff of weirdly of like iron, kind of like particularly like metallic sort of aroma, almost like the kind of like a scent of like swath. And there are just like set into the walls pretty much like every like 20 or so paces. There are some like gas lamps that are kind of like boxed off into themselves. They've got a weird little contraption at the top of them that almost look like the reverse of the kind of like the Roman style, almost where you kind of get a pool of oil with a little like tiny bit on the edge, where then that's where the flame would be. It's almost like the reverse of that, and you can see congealed underneath the top of it just like loads and loads of grime, every now and then bits of which just kind of like drop down into the kind of like the pool where the actual like the lamps themselves are burning. Up ahead, you do notice that there's a point where it gets hard to see what's kind of coming up above, and it smells way too dry. Like, although this whole place isn't really humid, it's definitely like the whole thing is dank. Like, it has just consistently just smelled really strongly of wet. And you're noticing both at the point where you kind of like just see this like strange haze in front of you. Also that it just like smells very, very dry. And you can see this from within the center of this actual like strange haze, a like creature walking towards you, probably a human once again, just like entirely like cloaked in just this like massive like cloud of stuff, like particulate somehow. It's wearing this like massive necklace which has just got like teeth that have kind of like been like braided together. Is the actual necklace itself, and then hanging from that is you just got these big long tongues. And it like kind of like it slowly like treads up towards you. It's like you could walk side by side in this thing. It's not necessarily very comfortable, but this thing is just like just walking straight. It doesn't even seem to be like lifting its arms, and actually at the point you can see this hair, every single segment on it is just kind of like just like swollen and twisted, but without any sense of like. Niduk was like overly swollen as well, and like all of his like muscles are just consistently like doubled up upon themselves at any given point. But this thing is just splotchy and bitty and just strange and segmented. And as you're getting closer, you can almost like see it's like mushroom spores. It's something like that, just in this huge cloud around it. What are you doing?
Staying as far away from that thing as possible.
How? You're currently in a tube.
Yeah.
Probably saying, excuse us, friend. We just have to get by here, so we're gonna just pass. Me and my friends, and also my human friends, are trying to get by.
It doesn't even react at the sound of your voice as you kind of like directly address it. It doesn't even seem to acknowledge and ignore. It's just entirely oblivious to it. It's now probably about maybe like 30 paces away.
Can I whistle for
worth
Hawk
it.
again?
Ooh.
Can I whistle for Hawk?
Give us another roll. Let's see if it works.
God. Nope, that's a 4 again.
Hawk's comeback is going to be magnificent.
Third time's the charm.
You can hear that
Gonna
he's
clutch.
like, he is following you, but he's kind of like keeping at least a certain amount of distance away.
Smart. I've always said that bird's smart.
No, it's a bird that knows what's good for it.
Yeah.
What's Brinta doing here?
Well, Brinta was like, okay, well, Kaida already kind of asked politely, and that's usually been 100% success rate so far in this adventure. So she's a little unsure. Actually, wait, hold on. These hooks through other worlds. I don't think that makes any sense. I was trying to think. So my shepherd's crook does have in its description. It says this crook hooks through other worlds, and I was like, could I pull us past it, like in like a weird dimensional way? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say it. Like you're almost able to find a way of like folding and almost like shifting the pure sense of actually how like space is behaving here.
Mm-hmm.
What's that look like as you do it? What does it cost you?
Oh, that's a good question. What's it cost me?
You can. There is a default answer if you're not sure, which is that I think on your character sheet you should have a number of omens.
Oh yeah.
Omens are essentially like a meta currency that you can spend to do things like provide yourself with some support against damage. You can make a task particularly easier. Unless you've got a thought for something else, if you're like, oh, I don't know, that would be the thing you're spending.
I'd be interested in an omen, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, how does it look as you're doing this? Like, what's the And like, do you perceive it in the same way that everybody else around you is doing it? Are you even warning people that that's what's about to happen?
Oh, would I warn people? I don't think I would. Or not. I think I would be like, but stand back. Or maybe not even so. I'd be like, get close.
Say both stand back and get close at the same time.
Yeah, you might want to stand back for this, but stay close. Say a quick prayer to me, the two-headed basilisk.
I will not be doing that.
Well,
but I respect the thought.
Awesome. And I think like, just as if I'm trying to hook something, right? Like with the shepherd's crook, as I kind of pull forward, I think it like, the way in my head it looks like it goes into water, but then it just like disappears, right? So there's kind of like a little ripple as like a whoop. You know,
that noise.
It does make that noise.
It's the same noise that you've heard quite a few times so far.
Oh,
today,
yeah.
Right? You've never caused it directly.
Mhm.
Shortly after that, you can see, like, you can almost like hear the echo of that bloop from just like behind you, and like the creature that was just walking entirely like clouded in these spores is now just there, and like you've gotten past it. You've even noticed that like you've just essentially just entirely skipped over about 50 meters worth of stuff. It's like doesn't really have a sort of like strange sense of like G-force or anything. There's no jolt or anything like that. There's, if anything, you kind of almost like notice a strange like a strange quiet at the same sort of time that it happens, but that's pretty much the entirety of what you spot as this thing, like, to the looks of yourselves, almost looks like you've just like hooked the creature and thrown it behind you. But I mean, who knows exactly how it is that this thing has worked?
Yeah, I don't think I even really know. Like
the other basilisk head knows all that information.
Oh yeah. That's
we gotta
also
store the information somewhere.
I think I'll like turn back around and actually let out a sigh of relief, like, oh, thank you. Your prayers have given me power. I can tell.
They were not my prayers. Kaidor is going to say, I didn't even know that these things could do that. And then they're gonna pull out like a satchel of sorts, but they open it up and it's like full of dirt. It's just dirt.
Oh my God.
And then like rummage around in the dirt and pull out their own really tiny shepherd's crook that's like covered in tiny bugs. And they'll be like, I have to remember this for next time. I'm keeping this somewhere safe.
Oh my God.
And they just kind of stick it behind their ear.
Oh, amazing.
Incredible.
And yeah, it is it's not long before you reach a part where the sewer actually, like, for the first time in a long time, reaches a direct junction. And like the turning off point to the left has just this huge grate that has been moved aside, and opens up essentially into a pretty sizable place. It looks like the entirety of this ground has just like subsided years ago. In the very, very center is quite like a blocky looking church. Like the walls themselves are really thick. The stone is significantly larger than any of the bricks that you sort of like passed before. And it's got a really peculiar sort of, almost like a varnish sort of coloration to the entirety of this place. There are trees in here, but they aren't familiar to any sort of stuff you've kind of come across before. They again look as weird as like the rose bush did, but not in the same way. They're kind of like, they're as strange, but ever so slightly differently. Inside this part, it's like it smelled almost of like rotting fruit, and it's like it actually quite like a sweet smell that definitely has been interrupting the just like the constant horrid drone of just like really high pitched like urine scent that's been there, and it almost feels like a weird relief in that sense. Kind of like far into this sort of, I want to call it a canyon or like a cavern, but it doesn't really seem to behave that way. You can't exactly see what's at the top, but it does eventually kind of like just get darker and pretty much can't tell what's there. You can hear this like low pealing of bells. There is a doorway, but the actual like wooden door itself is kind of ajar. But directly in front of that, there is like a dog that has just been chained up, like each of its limbs pulling out apart. It's been dead for quite a while. It looks like it's kind of like in like the bloat stage of decomposition, kind of hanging across the entry. If you were the size of the Troll King, you couldn't get through this without knocking it open. As like human sized, you could potentially try and like more comfortably get past. But yeah, what are you doing?
I want to check out this fruit because I'm into plants, and I got rid of my meat rows, so I'm gonna pick a couple of these and shove them down in a vial.
Excellent.
Are you going for like? Are you trying to find like things of almost like the same type? Like, are you trying to find lots of different stuff, or are you trying to find like a?
Oh,
nice
are there different types of fruit?
Yeah, like none of them seem to be exactly identical. Like they look more like tomatoes necessarily than anything else. But the coloration on them isn't always the same. There are some of them that sort of as you move them, the dark part always stays on one side of it. There's some bits where they've got like incredibly like thin leaves at the very, very top.
Yeah, I'll pick 4 or 5 of them of differing weird combinations.
And yeah, it is a nice buffet of strange fruit here at this point.
I also do I do poke in the ground at the root of these trees to see if there's any dead bodies down there.
Oh,
You're not sure. There's skeleton. Like there are definite like bones that are here, but you can't, because of the process of it, you can't tell if it has the same level of like interaction as the previous one did, or if it just happens to be like growing from a part where there was a body.
There's just a lot of bones around here.
Yeah. Quite a lot of these bones here are actually quite old. Like there doesn't seem, in the same way that when you like actually walk past where Ludic was earlier, he had like clearly stuffed a lot of like bits of body into places. That's not the same here. This is like possibly just like what was once a graveyard for this church itself.
Cool.
Is the door itself open, like the gate or the entrance?
Yeah. So it's like it's not like wide open. There's probably enough space for like one person to like walk through, because I mean it's a big church door. It's kind of like 2 to 3 times your height. But the thing itself definitely isn't closed at this point here. And in fact, if you did close it, it would probably like knock over where the chains are for like the dog that's kind of like been.
I suggest we don't close that door because otherwise we might not be able to get out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's maybe try to keep it open. Perhaps?
Yeah.
Find something to.
Can we use
prop it open?
What about the dog?
Yeah, why don't we use the dog?
Like it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's a dead dog.
How big is the dog again?
So it's kind of like
The dog's
medium size. So it's kind of about maybe like the size of like a barrel of beer or something.
Okay. It's not like an abnormally large dog.
No.
Okay.
So you're like able to like bring this thing off. How is it that you are you trying to almost like shove it under the edge of the door? Are you
Say, tell me how you
putting
do
it there so it's like a
I
stopping
think
point?
like a doorstop,
Yeah, I
so
would
that the
imagine
door
the
can't swing
doorstop.
shut.
We're kind of like shoving it under just like a little bit, like when you have those triangular
Oh,
doorstops, you
shove
kind of stick it under a
God.
little. We're kind of just like shoving its little rotting ass under.
Someone watching this is so upset right now.
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
already typing
Everyone
in
watching
caution
this
warning
is so
using
upset
dog as
right now.
doorstop.
He's already dead.
I'm concerned if someone watching this isn't upset.
There's a cat person in chat, like, yes.
Oh my
Get
God.
him.
But there's also somebody else in chat who has a taxidermied dog as a doorstop in their house.
Wait, for real?
I don't know. I'm just saying. No, I'm just a guess. I mean, we're playing
He's a
Mork
hypothetical
Borg, so I
chat.
mean,
No, okay. I legitimately thought you were saying, oh, someone in chat just said that they have a taxidermy dog.
No,
as a
but I
doorstop,
mean,
and I was like,
I don't know how common it is in different parts of the world. So y'all tell me. I feel like the UK and at least Southern America probably both share weird taxidermy fascinations depending on where you are in the country.
I mean, the upper class in the UK do whatever the hell they want, you
Right.
know, like
And stuffing dead animals is definitely one of the things they want.
definitely one of those things, yeah.
So,
So weird.
no, I just feel like that's a
Like,
cultural
just for
touchstone that
things.
is part of Anglo culture, like
Yeah.
from across the board, and so is stuffing dead animals and using them as things.
There's
so.
definitely a sense of like a real sense of like various trophies that are quite widely accepted, but often they're things just like the only way you tend to gain access to them is if you are taking part in a particularly upper class sport.
Yeah.
Fuck
In
something.
Texas, it is the where I'm from. It is the opposite. Like taxidermying is normal. I wouldn't say necessarily but for like median income and lower people, taxidermying a animal or a trophy like shot, like either a pet that has passed away or a trophy animal, are both things that happen in Texas.
Huh.
Do you ever wedge them under doors to keep the doors open?
Leave the door
That's
open.
why I was saying, like, I'm sure there potentially is somebody out there watching this
There is
who's like, this is
has
absolutely
a
normal.
past pet doorstop.
I mean, someone in chat has actually said if you had a rabbit or something, that would be fine for a doorstop. This is a big door, right? So it needs
Yeah.
a big doorstop.
So it's a big
Hence the door.
door stop.
unless it's a very
Unfortunately.
like
Yeah,
dense
unfortunately.
rabbit.
Wait, is always someone saying that they have experience using a rabbit as
No.
a doorstop?
I don't know. I don't think so. I hope
But
not.
we can't be certain.
I just assume the word.
This is it.
I mean,
I'm
it's
about
probably
to go on a
good thing
list.
to assume the worst.
I'm about to go on a list because I'm searching taxidermy to doorstop right now.
So what do I roll to use a dead dog as a doorstop?
Surely there's a built-in mechanic for that.
Yeah.
What's
I'd
the
say
move?
this is probably going to be an agility.
Oh God, we're rolling for it. Oh shit.
Well, you did just give me too good an opportunity not to take.
Okay, no whammies. Come on. No, that's a 3.
You've
It's
got the
good.
plan. You know
It's
exactly what it
nice.
is that is going to happen, and it's probably more that you're at least slightly startled by like the reappearance of Hawk. At the point when you almost like half drop the dog and then catch it, but as you kind of like catch it, you can feel the buoyant nature of its kind of gaseous buildup,
Oh.
and it bursts.
Ah, you did say that. Yeah, you did.
But
That
rather
was a
than just
combination of words.
rather than just the just like the standard thing you'd expect, the same sort of like just grimness that's kind of come within this, there are like 5 absolutely like the darkest spiders you have ever seen.
Ooh.
They are so dark that Anish Kapoor would try and borrow them. But these things kind of like, and you almost notice that they're not enormously big. They're kind of almost like the size of a dinner plate or something.
That's enormously big for a spider.
Yeah,
Not in
I don't know.
not in Australia. Not in Australia.
Australia doesn't exist.
Have we
okay?
been in
But you
Australia
realise
this
they
whole
were actually
time?
just holding the. It wasn't a gaseous buildup. It was just almost like they were forming this structure of this, like of the spreading as it kind of happened, and they are now entirely on Prugel.
Oh no!
Can Kydor attempt to spider whisper, because they consider spiders to be amongst the creatures, to speak to the spiders and call them as friends?
I definitely think that would happen. That could certainly happen. It would. This will be a presence check.
Oh, well, that used to be easy for Kydor.
I don't know what it is, but our viewing numbers have dropped tremendously in the last 5 minutes.
I love it.
I don't know if it was the
wonder.
spiders or the extensive taxidermy conversation, or just the end of lunch in America. But like,
I think it's that link you just dropped that did it, Tony.
yeah, if you're watching this later, because I'm not going to repost it in the notes on YouTube, I did find a link to an article that's called "Freeze-Dried Pets Are Forever."
No,
If you really want to preserve your pet for eternity, taxidermy won't do, which is where Chuck Rupert, professional pet dryer, comes in.
Good lord.
Right.
The URL is why people freeze dry their pets and how it happens. And I'm
I
like,
will
these
say,
are two
look-
questions I don't need answers to.
Looking at a few pictures here, these pets look far more realistic and lifelike than a taxidermied pet does. I'm just going to put it out there, and then we're going to keep on going with the spider
gonna
And this
conversation.
stream was sponsored by
Yeah.
Oh,
Freeze
no.
Dried Pets. That was a 12.
Nice. What is it that means that you can tell when you are successful with communing with the bugs?
I think if the bugs like crawl on me in a non-aggressive way, like not like, oh, this creature is attacking me, but it's like, we are friends now. Almost like the same tenderness as an ET finger touch, you know?
Yes.
If the spiders are kind of doing that on me, then I'm like, yes, my friends.
And you see almost because they almost like collapse out onto Prugel, but then right themselves and like willfully like drop down to the floor.
I am absolutely going to try and
skitter
swap one. Absolutely going to try and stamp one as they leave me.
You
Oh,
do
good.
not hurt my friends.
Give me a. This would be a strength check for a melee attack. And again, you're looking at 12s.
Okay. Right, so here's what happened. Right, I rolled a 14, but my strength is -3. That's 11.
God damn it, Chris.
You get like a spider leg.
I'll give you a choice here if you want. You can it can hit, but you will both take the same amount of damage, or you can have just not quite got there right. It's up to you.
Ooh.
Please. I want the only time we take damage. In this
I'm going to
entire
choose
game.
hit, but we both take damage, yeah.
Excellent.
My brother.
This would be D4 points of damage.
Okay, well, okay, so I could die. 1.
Nice. So yeah, so you like as you're like you're pressing down, this thing is way less dense than you'd expect it to be, especially considering you were just carrying it. There isn't the same sense of like outwards pressure on. And as you're like pressing down on this thing, like it's hard not to twist your ankle just a little bit too much. But the thing just kind of like does flatten out. And as it does, there's a sort of like puff of match smoke. And just the whole thing just sort of like drifts, like tiny little bit of a thing which just like drifts just up your leg a little part. But then this thing is just flat on the ground.
That's weird.
The rest of them don't seem bothered by it. They don't kind of like seem to respond in any way, and are continuing to like not sprint forwards, but definitely continuing to like surge forwards to like happily hang off of like Kydor's shoulders. There is still just enough of the dog left that you can use it to pin the door open. but it wasn't. It's not quite this. It's not aesthetically what you'd initially planned.
I mean, we were definitely going for function over fashion anyway, right?
And I would say,
Aesthetic
in some
plan.
ways, it's probably a better doorstop now than it was
Yeah.
before.
Yes,
Yeah, we got all the spiders out of it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Which is what I look for in my taxidermy is a lack of spiders.
always, at all times.
First thing you gotta ask. Only
I
amateurs.
always leave in the spiders.
I
You know
hear-
it's a shoddy taxidermy.
I hear freeze drying your pets means like 10% less spiders.
Oh,
10%.
now that's a deal.
I gotta get some
Yes,
money
I would
from
like
this
to pop
guy.
the door open with the dog.
This dog encounter.
Beyond the door, again, like still on the inside of this cathedral, this chapel, it's like the walls are almost like so much closer than you'd want them to be, just because they're that solidly thick. It's really warm in here. The air is still. There's a kind of like a smell of like damp wood, but it's almost like it's rained recently. You can hear the ringing of the bells that much more strongly, which kind of seems to be like almost sort of towards like the northwest. The room itself has got like pews smashed apart everywhere. There are like quite simple stained glass windows that are kind of almost like showing the coloration rather necessarily than design. But they're all just like covered over with like just muck and murk. Although both priestly people here, like looking at it, see that the sequence of them is definitely like telling a story. Like the way in which they are placed together, and although it's essentially like you're looking at just like abstract paintings pretty much just made like on the glass, but they are specifically in a sequence, kind of looking almost like death and rebirth or something similar.
May I whisper to my bugs and ask them if they can understand the story?
And the whispered response is, it's an old story, strange and segmented. The god here died. And as you're getting closer, you can almost like see it.
And if they can understand the story. Okay, cool, thank you.
And the whispered response is,
Did you say the god here?
and as you're getting closer, is that me or the worm?
So that was me as a person asking. I just couldn't. The whisper was too real, and I couldn't keep.
But to say, I can't tell. Like, I have lost
Did you say-
track
did
of
you say
player
the
versus
god?
character knowledge at this point
Oh
in
my
time.
god.
Is that me or the worm?
That
It proves that it's working. But yeah, so a god died and hasn't woken up yet. Pretty much.
So Kyder will relay that and say, hey, just so you all are aware, my friends, the creatures, have told me that there is a dead god going on here that hasn't woken up, so let's not wake up a dead god.
Always a smart move.
From here, there's a big pile of bodies. These ones kind of like seem twisted and almost like they've just been like stuffed down into there, but they haven't been torn apart. There are some steps up at the north end of the nave leading up to where the altar is. There's a couple of like doors on either side. You've got one door on the western side, quite close to where you can hear the sounds of the bells. And then opposite that, there's another one. Although that one's kind of got like a red curtain, like hastily pulled across it. Specifically in a sequence. What do you do?
So there's a red curtain on the right-hand side, did you say?
Yeah. So right hand side to the east, and then
And the west is...
another door.
Yeah.
No curtain on this one. The sound of bells from beyond that, and then there are steps up to the north towards like the altar segment.
Brinta is very curious about this religion. I think we'll walk up to the altar and see like kind of get the full picture rather than see everything and maybe what might be hiding.
So what, like, one thing you notice is even though the pews themselves have been smashed and been like pushed across, as you're walking up towards it, there is definitely, like, it's a really well designed church. The whole of the processionary route as you're heading up, the fact that the steps up towards you to kind of like widen out as you're getting there, it definitely leads to a real sense of it is the smallest you have felt in a long time. Almost entirely just because of how it's like laid out. Directly in the center of this part up at the top, this huge altar, which has been seemingly like almost like formed out of like potentially like a bit of dark glass or something similar. It looks like it's been like pressed into shape, but now looks pretty quite solid and sturdy. Entirely like covered with both old, like kind of like runic, almost like cuneiform inscriptions, and also much newer, like some parts that have been like chipped off. You've also got bits where people have like smeared things in like various dark colors. It's weirdly beautiful in a way in terms of how it's placed. And it's very, very old. Like you'd even potentially say it was like from the times before everything kind of like really went to shit. There's the other things you can see when you're up here as well. Towards the very, very back, there's quite a simple looking door. And it's almost like constructed in such a way that it would like meld in with the standard like paneling aspect at this point. And there's also a huge hole in the wall where some of the bricks have kind of like collapsed. And there's a really very, very strong just like scent of like troll from that direction.
Oh. Well, I can't remember if we're trying to avoid or confront more trolls. So
we know that Niduk's not here, right?
Yeah, we don't know if it's here or not. We assumed because it went a different way that we could sneak in, grab stuff, and go potentially.
Well, what place smells more like a troll than a troll's quarters?
Yeah, I would say we follow the smell of troll and then we find the troll stuff.
Yeah. I'm for it.
Yeah.
Can we look through the hole and see like if there is, I don't know, another troll in there? Something we gotta prepare for?
Yeah, so as you're kind of like moving up near towards actually where you can spot it, you see as much as there's like a variety of things that kind of like crashed down, it's largely just like furs and fabrics and all manner of just things that have kind of been like lumped up there together. Trolls have got quite a distinctive sort of like skin.
It's cool.
We are already live again, by the way.
Hello.
So no one's watching yet because I just went straight to live. So we can give it a minute or so to let people catch up with the new reality, as it were.
I remember earlier when I asked what the cost would be of skipping through time and space, and apparently this may have been the cost.
This is what it was. Yeah.
I'm also grateful to have the chance to run things for an audience. Like, although I can't see the audience, like it has been over 18 months since I've been on a stage.
Right.
I'm so sad.
All right, so we have some people joining us back already. Sorry about that, everybody. My computer just stopped, and it said the internet wasn't working. However, it was just the call, which was causing me to not be able to hear anybody else not be hearing me, but I could still type in. The internet was working with everything else. Who knows? We are all in different places now, but we are going to hop right back into it. And I have no idea what happened, and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
We should be so lucky. Currently, we're all around almost like pushed together glass altar. There's a big troll-smelling hole through up to the north here. There's almost like a kind of a relatively like simple panel door. Two larger doors back down the steps, back towards the nave itself. You can still hear. Weirdly, it's quieter at this section when you're right by the actual altar itself. You can still hear the edges of the bells if you listen for them, but they're not immediately obvious. So yeah, what's your exploratory plan?
Did we hear church bells earlier? Am I
Yeah, we
remembering
did.
that detail correctly?
Yeah. As you were kind of like heading in, it's strongest from like the room to the west. So like as you look back towards the entry point on your right hand side. But again, it's not. It doesn't sound close enough for wherever that's where the tower is, and presumably that's where the bells would be.
Right.
But they don't sound close enough for that. Almost
Did we see a tower from the outside?
a bit, but like not a big, huge like spire or anything. Just kind of like a stubby little tower on the western edge of the cathedral, or the chapel.
So we're gonna check out the doors that did not have the troll hole first, and then there's also the curtain. Some of the curtains blocking something, right?
Yeah. So there's one door. There's like a red curtain that's kind of like half pulled across it. Opposite that, there's another door. There is one door still up here where you're near. That's probably the least elaborate, and like, I mean, you can see it just because of its age. But it would be like, if and when this thing was new, you'd probably have to know it was there to spot it.
All right, maybe we'll check out that closed door first, or at least Kaidor will say,
Yeah.
what's behind here, you think, my little friends?
How do you like, are you opening things like casually? Are you sort of like being particularly conscious with how you're actually moving as you're doing this, or what's your?
I think they're probably being very casual with it, just being like, what could this possibly be?
Behind door number 1.
Certainly nothing dangerous, because they just have no concept of what the real world is like. They
I mean, a
only
troll
spend
lives
time
here,
with it.
right? Anything dangerous has been killed by the troll at some point.
That's also true.
Yeah.
It's there. Only troll lives here now.
Yeah.
I will say we have had an encounter with something that was dead and still tried to kill us.
True.
So dead does not necessarily mean safe.
Exactly.
But Kaidor does not use this kind of logic. They're just like, a door, cool.
Cool.
Let's open it.
The segment, like this one, kind of almost like slides more so than it kind of like opens up. And the segment beyond is quite a simple room that's clearly been structured in such a way that it was always like intended to be used as a sort of like as living quarters. There's like built-in cupboard part within it. You've got sort of like direct open doors. The open door at the point that you're kind of coming into is like right in the center, so you've got a few different spaces to get to. There is like a load of rubble that's kind of been like pushed together into the side. You can see that the ceiling itself is sort of caved in. There is a bed in here over in a corner, and there's just like a skeleton that's just lying there, still clad in like old priest robes. There's a huge like just pile of a variety of just things that kind of look like they've been, although it is essentially a pile, they look like they've all been piled up semi-carefully, at least. There's a load of incense that's kind of like flying up through this room as well. A huge hole in the western wall. And again, you've kind of got this like really strong, like just guff of like troll sweat that you can kind of like smell through that point. But you notice there's another kind of like that same sort of scent a lot closer to where you are as well. and it's like there's almost like a throne, kind of like shoved together. It's sort of like made of bronze or something, within this like pile of stuff, and on it, about the size of like a large piglet, is like a very, very strangely like rippling smaller troll, that is sort of hiding, at least is like as much as it can, like creep down just under the edge of where the actual like arms of the throne are, and you can mostly just see some like bone white antlers sort of like sticking up from the top of this thing.
Have we found the air?
Everybody.
I have done.
Yeah, the whole thing is kind of like almost like constantly like shuddering and just imperceptibly just like shifting and increasing in size. Like as it's going, it's kind of like it's going through the processes that like everyone knows what happens, but this is like probably the first time that anyone's seen it, at least in a long time. Yeah, what are you going to do? There are a lot of treasures here. One of the treasures may be the air.
Well, Kaidor is gonna first, the first order of business is to check out that dead priest to see if there are any bugs to recruit.
Oh, of course.
Naturally, you got it. Bugs first. That's what I always say.
Oh my god.
There are some like tiny little like maybe like caterpillars or like bookworms or something like that are eating the eating some of the actual like priestly vestments, and they
Did they heed my call?
they do.
Fantastic.
Um,
And
That's
then
what your call sounds like.
yeah, exactly. That was my call actually. It's a little obnoxious actually.
The bugs respond to it though.
Has everyone come in with me, or am I alone?
I'll come with you.
Yeah, I would have followed you in.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
follow you.
So we got some friends, and then I'd probably turn to the who I presume to be the heir and say, "Hello, friend. While I do think that you are an abomination, as you are contrary to the creatures, I will be your friend. Do not be afraid of us."
Don't know you.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't know you either.
Don't know you.
Oh no, I know you said that.
Oh.
Trollberty can be a very awkward period of life. And so
You'll just find your body going through changes.
we brought pamphlets.
Oh no.
Where's my father?
Oh well, it's actually funny. We were going to kill him, but then
But
but
Brutal honesty.
no.
he's still alive.
He gave us a nice snack, and all of my little friends really enjoyed it.
yeah, here, and I will take the goblin that I had just squirreled away all in my
Oh
inside
yeah.
of my robes, and I will toss it over to the air.
Ooh. And he takes it and like splinters it into like again just little segments. You can see he's like laying them out in a row, and then goes one, and then just like eating them bit by bit.
It is very rudimentary concept of math. You said there are treasures in the room.
Yeah, so there's like
Assuming the treasures were not the bugs that I already got.
clearly it's these tiny little cats.
Yeah,
They were
exactly.
that was the treasure that we had with us the entire time.
Yeah, the barman is like, right, you can't have any more beer until you go and bring me 3 small bugs, not the ones you've already got. Come to think of it, maybe they were just sending you on a wild goose chase. But yeah, there's a couple of like almost like bits of like fabric stuff. You can see one thing that's it's kind of like mottled with all sorts of like different like really like harsh white scars on it again. It looks just like it's like a bit of a troll. It's probably like an old skin or something. It's just kind of been like dropped off or so on. It's like in and of itself, it's probably fairly tough. It's the sort of thing that you could like, I mean, you could wear it if you wanted, and it would be like definitely behave like a shoddy bit of armor. There's a cloak in there that looks like severely moth-eaten. That was once for kind of like a strong, rich sort of velvet. There's a large like scroll case made from like hammered silver with like small little pans that sort of been like chiseled into the top of it. It almost looks kind of like mosaic tile work or something on the actual pattern itself. It doesn't seem to fit here. It's not like of the whatever the religion was that was here, but also it definitely doesn't fit the religion upstairs either. So it's just something like other and strange and new. There's that like the bronze throne that's kind of about the size of almost like a standard chair, apart from like its colors and so on. And a statue that's like made out of bone, but almost like a big huge chunk of bone, like a kind of almost like a ball and socket joint, and then one of those which has then been carved into thing, and it's like a humanoid creature which has got like the head of a bear.
Interesting. I'm going to hand the moth-eaten cloak to Kaidor. Maybe there's still some moths in there.
Oh, thank you. Hello, friends. Hello, are you there?
How has the air reacted to us rooting through the treasures? Is it just cool with it?
Yeah, it's like sort of like mostly is just distracted by the fact that it's been given a meal. Eventually, like when he sees it, like picked up one of the things and handed them across, and it's like, that's mine. Not yet, but it will be one day.
We're taking it.
What? No.
No, we have to
have-
pay for our beer.
Your
You know how-
dad said it was okay.
Oh, okay. What? Did he give you a password?
Yeah, do you know what it is?
I know what it is.
Well, so do we. Go ahead and tell us, and we'll make
Yeah.
sure that you gave us the right one.
No, that's not. No.
But if you don't give it to us, how do we know?
I keep asking him to do it. I'm so glad he did it. I keep saying if you give people a password, then I'll know that you've spoken to them.
Oh, this fool guy.
It's okay. If he said you can take the cloak, you can take the cloak.
Okay. I'm going to take the scroll now.
Yeah, I think he'd be fine with it. He was very nice to us. He gave us some goblin meat. So
Yeah.
Oh, like this one.
Yeah.
yeah, like that.
One.
That's actually also. Do you only know the number 1?
No, I also know the number 4.
Oh wow, that's more numbers than I know.
Oh my god.
Good job. You're very educated.
It's how many horns I've got.
Oh, I would count them to double check you,
Four.
but I don't know. I don't know any other numbers.
Oh my god. Please.
Yeah.
I am happy to just listen to Kaido speak to strange
God.
creatures.
This is the best.
We're no longer
So
playing
good.
Mork Borg. We're just playing Kaidor talks to things.
Kaidor makes some friends.
Oh my god.
The real treasure was inside us all along. It was friendship.
It was friendship.
That's what we should say to pay our tab. It's like, well, we discovered the real treasure.
Yeah. You
Which is-
did this on purpose.
Which
to
is why
teach
you
us
should
a
sell
This
that
was
quest,
actually
right?
just to teach us a lesson.
And you can see at like the top of the chapel, Nuduk's just sat there and like happily nodding.
Yeah, as I
Um,
expected.
I am going to take that scroll case though.
Yeah. While the air
Will
is
you bring that one
distracted.
back?
What? Huh?
I like that one. It's a nice colour. You can use it for a bit, but yeah, if you bring it back, be nice.
I'm a player. I'm asking, what color is it?
So it's like hammered silver.
Oh right.
So
right.
it's kind of it's not directly shiny, but it is quite like it is visibly precious.
I'm gonna open it up and see if there's a scroll inside.
There is.
I mean, do I know what type of scroll it is, or do I have no idea until I use it?
I
Sean,
think...
would you like the list of scrolls that I wrote this afternoon that you haven't seen?
Oh yes, I would. You don't recognize it. In fact, it seems like the sort of thing that like has not been seen by the likes of humanity ever before, until perhaps this moment.
We're doing it live. We're waiting for InDesign to open. We may be some time. On a machine that doesn't have all the fonts that I used. Fantastic. Sean, this is gonna
We
look
can
like
just talk
shit.
to the air until we have
Oh my God.
just more math talk.
So Ed, I see you worship a false god.
Yes, I also
Right.
see that. However, Brenta and I have differing opinions about the true God, so just make sure you know that.
Yeah.
What is worship? Worship.
What is?
Worship. You say I worship God.
Yes.
Worship is the thing where the creatures speak to you and you speak back and they give you their wisdom and you give them little pats on the head.
Yes,
Or
I worship me because
Oh.
I am going to be the king.
well, even a king worships something, and kings worship me. So you should worship me, actually.
I'm not sure if you should listen to her. Actually, I think you should listen to the creatures. Tell them, Splunky. And
These
they
creatures
hold up.
only have one head, but you would want to worship something that has two. Two is
But
more
they-
than one.
But there are
That
so
is
many.
true.
There are so many creatures that the total number of heads is larger than one. I would tell you specifically, but I don't know any
I would
numbers.
say that's cheating.
Are we going to defeat this baby troll with numbers? Is that what's about to happen?
Yeah,
He's just gonna get so
Calculate to the
overwhelmed.
last digit of pi, troll air.
It only
looking-
knows 1 and 4.
When do you become the king?
Oh. Soon?
Is your
Soon.
dad still going to be the king, or what happens to your dad?
Oh, he'll stop being the king.
Does he just
So he-
retire to the countryside?
Does he die?
Do you eat him?
When he retires, he gets eaten.
Oh.
Do you by you?
Yeah.
Well, I do like it when they eat other things. That's what my bugs do.
It's very clever.
Yes, it's very resourceful.
So are you ready to become the king now?
I think to become the king, you have to kill the king, right?
Are you gonna kill your dad? And then Kaidor does the little knife gesture just for extra emphasis. You gonna kill your dad?
I think that's the way it's gotta go.
Yeah, like you have to usurp the throne.
If
Yeah,
you
don't
need
get
help,
handed
we
it.
can help you.
Yeah.
Because then you could eat him, and then you would be the king.
Yeah.
True.
I would be the king.
And your dad wants this. You know, actually, when we talked to him earlier, he was like, "You should be my subjects. Somebody will have to take care of my son."
Literally said that.
Yeah, he said that to us.
That's what he wanted.
And what
This
better
thing has
way
been
to take
looking for
care of you than
subjects.
killing your dad?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And letting
Yeah.
you eat him.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's
Go for it.
and nutritional.
Cool. Yeah.
Great.
Cool. I think like we're all like looking at each other like
Yeah, it's like, all right, are we gonna
That
kill
just
Joel?
work?
I guess I guess we are.
I have
we
sent
just-
you a link to the
We just,
throne.
also we just made this so much
I've
more
got the proof,
complicated
mate.
for ourselves because we were just gonna steal the shit and
we're
go.
just gonna steal the
But
shit.
now we've like talked ourselves into, oh, are we gonna kill
Now
this
we're-
guy? I guess we're
Now
gonna kill
we're
this guy.
usurping the throne.
And then we're like buddy buds with the new king,
Oh.
and
I
that
like this
bar
guy.
owner will
we can
owe
talk about
us
numbers.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Just talk about numbers.
You know, just some casual number talk. You know, you have to know a little math to understand. Talking about 1, talking about 4, talking about the other ones.
So what's is that your plan? Are you
I
going
guess
to
so.
make him
I
mad?
listen, it's
I think
working,
it is.
and it kind of makes sense.
I think we
So-
formed like a genuine bond. Like I don't even think we were trying to manipulate the kid. We were just talking and we just formed like a genuine connection. We're like, we can do that for you. We're
I
here.
guess that no
Let's
one's
do it.
ever talked to him like that before.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever talked to him ever.
Well, the thing is that it sounds like within troll tradition, like this isn't even like against like this isn't even really too
Yeah,
far
I
gone.
mean, we could just like leave him to kill his own dad.
but we can
but-
expedite that process.
And also, his dad wanted us to take care of him. I mean, this was going to happen eventually, anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
expediting the process and in it paying off our bar tab.
Yeah, like at a certain point, Dad was going to try and eat us,
Yeah,
and it
Yeah.
was going to get stabby anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
And-
So we
and-
should
I think to the air, I'll be like, and like because we're helping you, you don't need to eat us. You want us around to help you find other people to eat, right?
and
Or
maybe
not.
and you
Or we
also
can leave if you don't want us around.
Yeah,
you could
can just
also
go.
give us you could also give us presents.
Yeah, we
Uh,
could give you
could-
some tips for leading a vegetarian lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could teach you all about the creatures. They
Uh,
really want to tell you a lot of things. They're whispering in my ear right now, all sorts of fun. They're telling me jokes.
Plants
You
are
know?
magic.
The upstairs world, the upstairs world, yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
they really don't like y'all down here, so we'll go up and talk to them. So if you let us leave, if you help us get out of here. you know.
Oh. Okay.
We just gotta bring them some, they wanted some treasures. And we do need to bring them the treasures.
And here's the thing
But
about
what-
treasure:
what-
you can't eat treasure. Like
You
it's not.
can't.
yours.
Yeah, it's
You
not
can
doing
look at
anything
it.
for you.
Like, look, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It is cool, but you can't eat it.
You got a point there, bud.
Yeah, we just pan to the treasure for a second. Oh no, he has a
It's
point. That's
pretty
pretty cool.
It's like I guess it's I'm like, yeah. Well, we can't take all of this guy's treasure. I mean,
Just a little. Hey, Bronchus, get in here.
oh my god, Bronchus.
Labouring
just-
up there.
Let's just load up Bronchus, and we can take as much as we need on Bronchus. Do a quick, on the dad, and then we're out of here with Bronchus.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where do you ambush the dad from?
We don't even know where he is.
Well, he's yeah.
Well, like presumably, if he's going to return to his domain at
Oh,
some point,
okay,
are you
okay.
Both
doing
two
it
side
in-
doors. Well, there's the curtain and there's the door.
Oh yeah, we
There's a
didn't even do
curtain in the
those
door.
doors.
Like,
Mm.
I don't know if are they good ambush spots.
yeah. We could wait for him to enter the chapel and then just.
We could try this. What's the best place to surprise your dad?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
If you were to see your dad die in front of your very eyes, how would you like it to happen?
Maybe by the big bit of like weird stone that's like different color.
Oh,
The altar.
And he like points towards the
Do
altar.
you want us to sacrifice him on the altar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Cool. That nothing
It will-
nothing
it-
could possibly go wrong with that.
It will be a
No.
sacrifice to the creatures, and the creatures will aid us in our quest, as they
Uh-huh.
always do.
Yeah. I'll help.
Oh, great. Oh, great. And what
Oh,
would
that'll
you
be
like?
so nice. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's so kind of you.
Really,
Well,
we're helping you.
yeah.
True.
So you
But
really,
you'll help us help
you're
you.
helping us help you.
Which, you know,
Yeah,
that's how
that's what
things
it
get
is.
done.
This is friendship.
We're teaching you good leadership skills for you to know for when you're king.
Just delegation.
This is.
So are we
Regicide.
just all gonna kind of hide behind the altar?
There's definitely like enough space around the room.
Okay.
Or within the runway.
Alcoves, like, yeah.
He's basically going to move through that space, and you can kind of all come in at the same point.
Can we load up some of the treasures that we're gonna take preemptively onto Broncos?
Yeah.
For Broncos outside in the yard.
Yeah.
Is there a ceiling to this thing?
There is in a few different places. Like it's collapsed in some parts of the chapel. There is still a ceiling above the actual like altar itself.
Cool.
I imagine we should also check out these other rooms before our buddy returns, unless everyone says no.
I'm fine doing it.
Do
or
we just
not.
ask? Do we just ask the air? What's
Yeah,
behind all
yeah.
of the food?
What's in the other rooms? Is there anything fun for us?
There's one bit that's quite wet. That's past the red fabric. And then there's a passage that goes on, but it's full of water. I don't like it. The water smells weird.
So do I.
The other part, it's underneath where it makes the noise, and there's like some way to go up at the top, and like a big thing that looks almost like it was like some teeth once, but it's kind of made out of like reed.
So we have 2 wet doors.
Well, no, there's only one wet door.
Oh, there's only one wet. Thank you, Air. Thank you, Air. One wet door and a loud door is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that we need to.
We can look at those later.
We can check that. We can check that out later.
We got all the time in the world, really.
We got big plans. We got big plans. My little buddies are rushing us. They want to get back up to the sun. Splunky's getting anxious, and you know they have some bad anxiety issues. So I really want to respect that.
Do you have a name, little troll king?
Yes.
Would you like to tell us?
Yeah.
What is your name?
It's Needuk.
Oh,
Named after your father, right?
Yeah. He was
Do you
named
have-
after his father.
That
and,
makes sense. Family name.
Yeah.
You wanna change things up a little? We can give you a new name.
No.
Okay.
no.
Because we don't want to wait around here all day. Like, do you have a way to call your dad?
You know your
to
dad's
get
phone
him to
number?
come here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you like bell him and get him to just come? Like, Dad, there's a leak or something.
If I have a bad dream, he comes.
Oh,
So if I go, "Wah!" then he does. And like you can hear that echoing quite a lot.
Incredible.
Basically, he's done it now.
oh, it's go time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Niduk
Niduk.
too.
Electric.
No, it's
Boogaloo.
Needuk.
Thank you,
Junior
Niduk
for
too.
now?
No.
What if I just call you larva?
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. That'll just cut down on the confusion.
Well, you know, until you eat your dad.
Yeah,
which,
yes,
we,
until
you know,
you
we
eat-
could,
until you
we
eat your
could,
dad. Yeah.
it should be pretty soon. You'll only be
Yeah.
alive for a little bit.
And you can hear from like quite a far way off, just like the sounds of something like charging through
All right,
Roger,
I will be honest.
let's get into ambush position.
As a
everyone.
player right now, my only goal is to get Niduk and Niduk to talk to each other and watch Sean manage that.
Yeah. 100%. With hat and
Hat, then
Oh my
lean, then hat,
God.
then lean. Real quick for that scroll, Chris, you dropped me a link. Am I just supposed to roll what it is on that list?
However Sean wants to handle
Yeah,
it.
so if you roll a d10, and then we'll count from the top.
I will say I
Because-
think there are 12 on that list.
Oh yes, this is so it biases towards the unclean because I prefer them.
Okay, that's fine. As long as that's your preference.
Oh yes.
4. So it's definitely unclean.
Ooh.
That's what I like to hear.
Well, that's my favorite one.
Oh, that is good. Very fetching.
Excellent. Do I know that's what it is, or do I have no idea?
I would say you get the idea that it is supportive, but that's about as much as you know.
Great.
Like, it'll help.
Excellent. Also, we didn't say what it was, so y'all are just gonna get to find out. All right, cool. Yeah, so we get in place.
Yeah, so you're in place, and as part of this, like Niduk / Larvo is sitting on the altar. And again, just like to recap, the kind of like it's almost like if you mix like a gorilla with a buffalo, that same sort of like weird shape. The front is definitely hands, but there's definitely a lot of like walking on all fours that kind of takes place. And actually at this point you can see he's got several little like bone ridges like extruding out from under his jaw. Whereas his father's just kind of got the one. And he's kind of sat there smiling, you think. I mean, it's quite hard to tell. As then the door at the end just kind of like slams open, and Niduk just kind of like charges up towards the thing. It's like, what is problem? It's now time. And yeah, you can surprise him. You get a surprise round if
I'm
you wish
glad-
to try and hurt him.
I'm glad we finally get to
Die horribly
stand-
to it.
yeah, exactly. We finally get to die.
I know.
So yeah, it's in general, it's relatively easy to to hit a troll. You're mostly trying to roll against 10s, but also he's distracted at this point, so actually you're rolling against a 6. You're trying to hit him here.
Okay.
Has he
So
come
yeah,
up to
that's
the? Has he
only for the first round, and then it goes back to normal.
Has he come up to the altar?
Yeah, he's pretty much like just like crested the top of the stairs, and actually within this thing, he's almost like he's like bigger even than you'd seen him the last time.
Awesome.
He's almost taking up the entirety of this space in here, and just kind of like rushing up forwards towards his son.
Awesome. Can we do a flashback real quick to me while we're getting set up? I want to make some potions.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Do I roll? I've never played in a cult or a master. Do I pick or do I roll? Or does it matter?
You roll.
I roll.
So
okay.
because it's the various things that you've been able to establish across the
That's fine. So it's a D8. I'm gonna roll. I'm just gonna go ahead and roll it twice because why not have everything that we can have? I've got some Izumiel's vapor, and I've got some black poison. So I'm gonna hand out some black poison to everybody because they can create D4 doses. Maybe not everybody. Hold on. I'm gonna hand out poison to 3 of us. Whoever wants some poison.
Kaidor is going to think that it is for drinking and be like,
Nope.
for me?" Oh,
And
sorry.
then, so that's for the hallucinating one. Maybe that is for drinking. Never mind. And then for the poison, I actually only have 1, so I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna poison my blade.
nice.
Sick.
So, but yeah, I guess if you drink it, you can hallucinate for D4 hours if you want to.
We'll save that for the after party. the yay we killed a troll after party.
Who's who's going first?
Is there some kind of like initiative rolling? or
Does
we just-
somebody
Yeah.
There would be, but you set up
We get
the
the
size
drop.
until
Oh,
you
okay,
get
cool.
to
does
it.
somebody can somebody do a lot of damage right at the beginning?
I mean, I have poison
I've-
on this blade, so
I've got
I
a
can.
bomb.
Oh,
Can I throw my bomb?
Absolutely.
Bomb.
yeah,
bomb,
like,
bomb.
you've just been hiding a bomb for this whole time.
I just to clarify, Kaidar says it exactly like that. Just goes, I have a bomb, and then pulls it out.
I
and
really
then
need the
have
Kaider
a
character
bomb.
backstory at some point in time, like everything that led up to this moment.
Yeah, I will write a novel. And it's almost like cartoony where they say like, oh, I have this, and then pulls out like a big black orb with like the fuse going down.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm gonna fling that bomb.
And yeah, you're looking for 6 or higher, and it would be with presence because you're doing a ranged attack.
Okay. Oh boy, this would be really sad if I wasted my bomb.
Or incredible.
All right. Okay, fantastic. That's an 11.
Nice. So yeah, so it kind of like you time it in such a way that it's pretty much like as like the big slab of his hand comes down, you like catch it underneath, and then it just like explodes. Roll me some damage.
I sure will. 8.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
He has some thick skin, which gives him like D2 worth of damage reduction, and he rolled a 1 on that, so it's taken 7. Nice. Who next?
I'll go run up and try to stab him with my sword.
Nice. So yeah, so that'd be strength. You're looking for a 6.
Hey! With my modifier, I got a 6.
Hey, nice.
So I stab. It's only a D4 damage, but it is poisoned. So he said he's got some damage resistance. So let's go good. Yay, 4. So
Excellent.
and then that's going to be another D10 damage.
Yes.
Another 4. But also he is potentially blind or at least blurry vision because he's gigantic troll for an hour.
Oh, nice. Excellent stuff. So yeah, so he is.
Wait, there may be resistance on that. Let me double check.
Yeah. I've just rolled it, and he failed to resist. So essentially, like throughout the rest of this, you'll be able to like keep going at keep going with a like pretty much the standard number that you're trying to like avoid like attack him with is going to be an 8, but he is going to be flailing more like wildly, so it's not necessarily going to be quite so simple for kind of like trying to dodge out of the way.
Okay.
Which is quite nice and useful. So yeah, who's next?
I got a battle axe.
Nice.
Yeah, swing.
Battle axe. What's better? 2D4 or a D8? Technically 2D4, right?
Yeah, it's a higher seal, a higher floor. Rather.
Not as swingy.
Yeah, it's not a swingy. Never mind. I'm gonna smack him with my sacred shepherd's crook.
Nice.
Bonk.
It
Awesome.
does. So staff does 2D4 damage except to faithless humans. Okay, so yeah, neither. Or well, I don't know what the Troll King's faith is.
Nice. So yeah, so you're looking for a 6 on strength.
Strength check. All right, let's do 6. 14. Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, roll me some damage.
4. That is 5 damage.
Excellent. He absorbs.
Oh,
Oh, you're muted.
Sean, you muted for a second.
There we go. Yeah, so he absorbs 1 point of that one, but is otherwise quite unwell from all of this onslaught.
nice.
Has Hawk stayed around?
Hawk has stayed around, but I am not going to attack with Hawk. I'm going to do something useful for future rounds. Hopefully. I'm going to try and read my unclean scroll.
Oh, okay.
Metzuotl will blind your eye, but I'm first going to use my...
No!
Use what?
Oh God.
What is happening?
Use
That's such a
what?
good. I got to screen cap this real quick.
Yeah, real quick. One second.
Hold
Let me
on.
grab it too, just in case.
I mean, it already exists later, but I gotta get it. The curse in actual play.
I swear.
I guess we just go back to talking to larva.
No. This is great.
Well, to be fair, like they did say that he was going to be doing some preparatory stuff, so that is taking place.
Oh my god.
The next stuff happens, but you guys have still got like the motion to keep the momentum up. Niduk is looking very unwell. His son is like almost like dancing around excitedly rather than actually taking part in the aggression here.
Mm-hmm.
The cursed stream.
Welcome back, Chris.
Hey, I'm on my phone, so because my internet just dropped out. What was the last thing you heard me say?
That you're going to do something for future rounds. You're going to read your unclean scroll of.
Cool. I'm going to read my unclean scroll, and I also want to use my one omen to reduce the DR by 4, so that I might have a chance of actually doing it.
Nice.
Because my scroll is Metzuotl blind your eyes, which makes me invisible for D6 rounds, and makes my attack and defend DR 6, so I might be able to actually do something.
Hey, nice.
I'm going to roll this. I rolled a 19, so I didn't need to use the omen, but it's
Awesome stuff. So yeah, so you what does it look like as you what's being seen?
So I pull my scroll out and speak some words that mean nothing, and then it's like I step sideways behind like a mirror or something, and I've just gone. Like it's not like a ripple or a vanish out. I just kind of step out of vision.
Beautiful, nice.
But my internet's back, so I'm gonna hang up quickly and jump back on
Cool.
my PC.
We will see you in a better aspect ratio shortly.
Yes.
Awesome.
love this.
So yeah,
Listen. Dirty game, dirty stream. No, that's not what I meant.
Real quick, when you want to use a scroll, do you always test presence? Is that what it is?
yes. So you test presence to use it. You've got a certain number of options per day, but you've got at least one.
Right.
Yeah, it's D4 plus presence powers per day.
That's right. Cool. All right.
So, yeah. Who's next? It's everyone gets another chance to go.
Oh. Then I'm gonna read my scroll, and all of a sudden you see me standing next to me.
What?
There is a duplicate of myself has appeared. So this is imitation games. You create a clone of yourself so convincing that you no longer even know which one of you was the original. One of you dies in D6 days.
And it could be you.
Which is just 1 day. So, so yeah. And the other me attacks?
I'd say that's far too cheeky, so yes it is.
One of me reads a scroll, the other one appears. Not knowing which one was which, the other one attacks.
But does the other one have a poison sword as well?
I'd say yeah.
I guess I'm not
true-
going to say if you can't tell the difference, then
Yeah, true.
I'd
duplication.
completely identical.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's a 15 minus 2, so it's still gonna hit.
Nice.
Which that's not. I don't roll a d20 for damage, which would be great. I rolled a 2 for damage.
Cool. It absorbs 1 of that.
Awesome.
But then do also roll for poison.
10.
Oh, nice. He is looking incredibly unwell.
We should have just killed this guy right away.
Yeah, we didn't have to deal with any of this. This is easy.
We did have a
Yeah.
bomb.
What next?
We did have a bomb.
We did. It was. I forgot about the bomb. Sorry, guys. And then they apologized to the sorry,
Oh, that's
sorry.
okay.
I forgot about the bomb. I can go. Unless anyone is like, no, I have a thing that I need to do right now.
Well, I guess like we've all slapped him. Is the air doing anything? Like, are we?
Oh
We
yeah.
could just be like, we're gonna yell out like, "You gotta eat him! This is your chance! You gotta eat him!"
Come lunch now.
If so you got like shouting into it like, okay, and does attempt just that, but mostly it's just like confused as to where to start.
Oh my
And
god!
looking around and like, no, and so he's in the process of, but
Okay.
a bit like his father, isn't necessarily the swiftest of all people.
Oh, that's so good.
Cool.
Yeah.
What next?
Can I make a little attack?
Yeah.
Cool. I too am gonna use my shepherd's crook. Though mine is incredibly tiny. It does the same amount of damage. So Kaidor's gonna run up and go, bam,
I love it.
and
I
say
love it.
that as they hit. They go, bam.
Wow.
I like the idea that like Britain is like an actual crook, and yours is actually just like a roll of quarters with a crook on the end.
Oh,
essentially.
yeah,
They're just like-
yeah. That I just took the end of a candy cane and like licked it and stuck it on.
Nice. Yeah. So
Okay, all right.
roll to hurt.
Oh, that's strength, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 17.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah. You hit.
All right, fantastic. And my tiny little candy cane is going to do. Oh wait, what was it? 2d4?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I'm rolling the right thing. 7.
Wow. He absorbs 1 of that, and takes an extra 6, and is looking both very, very confused, and surprised almost to see you, but also like weirdly proud at the same point as well.
His son is
And he's
fine.
like, almost like offering, like one of his hands, he's just kind of like offering out forwards in the direction where he remembers his son was, but can't quite
Oh my god.
see.
That's sad.
Does what's Brinter and Prugel going to do?
Prugel's going to stab him with a sword.
Nice.
Invisibly.
He-
Because my strength is -3, but it's only DR6 now. I rolled a 9. That's a 6.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
Roll for damage.
Roll for damage with my short sword. 2 points of stabby damage.
Nice. 1 gets through. Excellent. Next up.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna smack him, but I'm gonna try and, or I guess I'll try and like expedite the process of the air. You know, I'm like, we can't. If we kill him, then we become king. You have to be the one to do it. You know. See if I can get him to work faster.
And he kind of like responds to that and places like one like chunk of a hand down on top, and then just like pummels down and just like punches straight onto his like father's hand,
Oh,
which hits for 3 damage. One of which is one of which is kind of like soaked up.
Uh-huh.
And again, you can kind of almost like see like there's a weird kind of like lack of response that's happening to his flesh here at this point when he's kind of like being pummeled down by his son instead, which is certainly interesting. And Niduk just, as he's kind of like holding one hand out this way around, like almost like letting his son pummel his hand. Maybe he does then just like swing one of his arms around and like lashes out with his legs. He's happy to let his son win, but he doesn't want anybody else to. This thing is enormous. You are all around it. So everyone is going to need to like try and defend against it. Typically, that's going to be an agility against a 12. Obviously, at this point, Prugel is invisible, and which theoretically, because he's flashing wildly, wouldn't matter.
So
but
it's
because of your
safe.
expectations, you are still out of the way. Like,
It's entirely up to you. It says defend with the R6, but if you want it to be a 12, I'm happy with that.
I will keep it to a 6. So yeah.
But we still have to roll a 12 in the joke.
I rolled a 1.
Ooh.
So it
So I'm not
doesn't
invisible
matter.
anymore. I'm not invisible anymore because I take damage.
I also rolled a 1.
I rolled a
Let's
12.
go.
Oh, we're all.
I rolled a 16.
I guess, do I need to roll twice?
Yes, yeah. Each of your cells.
Well, one got a 12 and one got a 19. So
Hey, nice. So, both Kaidor and Prugel take an enormous like they're sent flying by this thing. It deals 11 damage to you.
Oh, but
I'm dead.
I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
know about
Nice.
Mork Borg character. If you're watching right now and you're not familiar with Mork Borg as a system, a high HP character has like 8 HP.
yeah.
If you have armor, you might be able to get rid of up to like 4 of those HP, but usually not. And so
11.
Yeah, my armor was tier 1 as well, so not only am I dead, my armor's broken.
Yeah, same.
Oh my
There's
God.
do either of you have a shield?
I have a
think I am the
donkey.
shield.
I have a lot of lard.
It's okay because Hawk will avenge me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Also,
could
you
use
can
like my
keep fighting
shepherd's
as Hawk.
crook in some kind of defensive.
No, you're just dead.
I
That's
think I
okay.
did. Yeah, I'm just dead.
We're almost done. And potentially not
Yeah.
going to die also.
It's
Just
okay.
smear on the ground.
The bugs will live on.
Oh my God. Well, they will feed on you, and you've achieved your
it's
true
what I
goal.
wanted.
Yeah,
it's what I
exactly.
wanted.
All right. So he
love
swung
it.
wild.
Two of are going to die.
I guess we're back in there now.
I'd say especially if you're actively letting the troll air do the end blow, it's certainly near that time.
Okay.
And I think this will be a perfect point to go almost like go into like cutscene mode.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
This is like, going, like,
2 characters died.
out
Perfect time to go into cutscene mode.
Yeah.
And about, and just like Lava kind of like brings up both of its hands, smashes him down, like on his father's wrist, who then just eventually just like smiles and exhales, and then just collapses down forwards. And you can kind of like you can see the weird like knot of gristle that was on top of like Niduk's head that just then rolls off, lands down at the feet by Lava, who then just like puts it on. A few other like fairly weird things happen a bit of a while after that. Within about a couple of hours, Kaidor wakes up again.
Oh.
I was going to say my character actually, one of my characters rushes over to Purgle, and one of my characters rushes over to Kaidor, and they both are holding their bodies, and they're both saying, "It was you. It was only you the whole time." As the life slowly drains out of their body. But then a couple hours later.
But yeah, so Kyle basically wakes up again, and in the interim, while they've been like dead, just racked with very, very, very specific, like very specific thoughts and messages. The coin that you had taken was a wish, and you are now responsible for fulfilling that wish, and you cannot die or heal until that has happened.
Oh no.
And about a day or so later as well, where like Torn's other half should die, it just doesn't.
Oh fuck!
Because again,
That's
you've just
great.
got like all of these things that were taken just have to.
That means
Just
I
no
can
note
cast
that.
this scroll repeatedly and make an army of Torn.
Oh,
Make
no.
infinite selves.
Oh God.
This is another psalm. The army of Torns overtakes the world.
Oh my god.
So
But do they all have different wishes to fulfill?
It
Yeah,
might
so
only work up to
each
12 because that's
coin.
how many coins I took.
yeah. So let's spin time on, say like a week or so on, and we'll do like an epilogue vignette from each person. Chris, it's up to you who you want to do yours from the perspective of. You could do it from the perspective of Hawk, or you could do it from the perspective of Lava, who now is Nidug.
So what I think happened to Hawk actually is that Hawk swooped down to avenge Prugal as Lava brought the killing blow down and just decimated Hawk.
Just in the process, just
Yeah.
Oh my
Just this,
God.
like burst of feathers.
What about Brinta? What's Brinta's future?
Brenda, I think, found new purpose in taking over this cathedral. Like, I think Brenda was like, oh, this is the god here is dead, and we just got to make sure nobody wakes it up. Yeah, no, this is my place now. This is I'm that god. I'm back, and the god was the two-headed basilisk.
Do her
but-
followers come down?
I think so. Yeah, I'm like, yo, move in here. We got space.
We gotta
Treasures of the Troll King 2, Shrine of the True Basilisk. Coming
Yeah.
soon to a Kickstarter or to a crowdfunding platform near you.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think I'm like, hey, Niduk, we're cool. Do you mind if I need a temple, you know? Like,
Mind if I crash?
mind if I crash?
I love it. I love the kind of like the buddy comedy almost that can come about after.
There's a little like sitcom energy.
Oh my god.
What about Torn? Who has literally become Torn?
Torn number 1.
Right. Tour number 1.
Torn number 1 is goes about living Torn's life fairly normally. Torn number 2 though, I'm just now worried anytime the internet starts doing something weird that it's just gonna just totally fall apart on me. Torn number 2 is going to cast the multiply self scroll to max out the number of Torns there are, and start a Torn commune, seeking to actually grant these wishes so that they can eventually shuffle off of this mortal coil. And they are going to invite, because I think Torn 2 is the one who is holding Kaidor, is going to go down and retrieve Kaidor's body and seek to heal them also too. I don't know how any of that works. That's the narrative though.
Excellent stuff. And Kaidor, what about yourself?
Well, I think that brush with death / actual death made really confronted Kaidor with their own mortality and was like, who will be here for Splungy who will be here for Brunkus when I am gone? I clearly need a protege. So when they awoke and found Torn 2 tending to them, they said, "I'm sorry, but this is the path that the bugs have chosen for me. And as you know, I put the bugs before everything. I need to go find my protege, and I need to find them now."
Well, the interesting thing is Torn 3 is really into bugs also.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So Torn 3 can be, it can be Kaidor's protege.
Wait, that sounds a little. I think we certainly have a multiplicity issue going on here. It's probably more like Torn 8 is really into bugs.
Okay, all right. We'll go with Torn 8. And Kaidor will be like, "Torn 8, I need to train you in the ways of speaking to the bugs, and together we can spread the good word." And all the bugs approve. Because they had to say, what do you vote? What do you vote? What do you vote? To all the bugs.
I do like that the bugs all survived this.
Yes, the bugs were fine. I should have had character sheets for every individual bug for each one I have to roll.
And yeah, that those have been some of the treasures of the Troll King, which as we learned was bugs and friendship.
Bugs and friendship. Awesome.
And the friendship.
Well, thank you
friends we
very
made along the
much.
way.
Well, we do a little thing here on Plus One Exp called Reaction Roll. Reaction Roll is a live stream within a live stream. It's where we sit down with the creator of a game or adventure or some sort of TTRPG content that we just played. We talked to them about what our thoughts were. Today, we are talking about The Treasures of the Troll King, which is a Mork Borg compatible adventure by Chris Bissett of Loot the Room. We just finished playing it right now. Chris, tell people a little bit about the just kind of the elevator pitch of this adventure.
Yeah. Treasure of the Troll King is a very grimy, when you put it in Sean's hands, sewer crawl that takes place beneath inside the sewers of Galgenbeck, where you are hunting down Niduk, the Troll King, to kill him. That was really fun. I've never played in an adventure that I have written myself before. That was really fun. It's going live on Kickstarter tomorrow at 3 p.m. UK time, which is in about 18 hours, thereabouts, I think. But you can follow along and hit the whole notify me on launch button. If we get another 24 followers in the next 18 hours, I'll show off some layout samples on Twitter. But at this point, you're going to see them when the page goes live anyway.
And they are beautiful also too. I've seen some of them already.
They are utterly gorgeous.
Like, yeah. So no, I had an absolute blast playing, but I want everybody else to get a chance to hear about it. Also, if you're watching this later on YouTube, the link will be down below. We did have a weird little stream interruption right in the middle, so this will all get stitched together later and just be one seamless piece. But you can go check it out. I'm also going to go ahead and drop it in the Twitch chat right now again. But I had an absolute blast playing it. Let's hear from some of the other players first. Let's start with Alex. Alex, tell people who you are, what you do, and then what your experience was like playing Treasures of the Troll King.
Yeah, okay. Quick intro first, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm Alex Kingsley. You could find me on like Twitter and TikTok and whatever as @AlexyQuest, like Galaxy Quest, but it's my name. And I'm a writer and game designer and comedian and just generally an annoyance. And and I also am the co-founder of a production company called Strong Branch Productions, and we just put out a sci-fi comedy podcast called The Stench of Adventure. And that's what I do. And this was so fun. This was a great time. I guess I'll get into the other stuff later, like questions and such. But yeah, I had so much fun.
Awesome. If you have a question, go ahead and ask it.
Oh, okay. I have a question, and it is: did the heir have like a mother? How do trolls reproduce?
I don't know if it's ever explained in the lore. I very much ran it that there was no mother, that it was kind of almost like a budding, the way that you can kind of like cut a bit of a tree and get a new tree.
My headcanon for trolls is that if you cut off a bit of them, it grows into another troll.
Yeah.
Like, that's what.
So what bit did Duke cut off to make larva?
So if you remember that Niduk had like only 2 bone spurs rather than a load, and so he kind of like shaved off the bottom part of his jaw.
Okay, that makes sense.
Awesome. Let's hear from Vid. Vidita, what did you think about the game? Tell people who you are, what you do, and where they can find you online also. Is that just me, or is that happening for everybody? Is everybody else hearing it the same way?
No,
we're all
I'm
hearing
hearing
strange sounds.
Vidita, you are
You've
like
gone
as if
louder
you
than the
were
chipmunks.
getting put through a recording device and then played back at high speed. Do you want to drop out and drop back in real quick, and we'll see if it fixes?
So far, Alex is the only one who's safe. I've not yet had a tech issue.
I have no idea what's happening on the stream.
Yeah, I know. I've been like,
You run treasures of the Troll King at your
Yes,
own
we can do
peril.
that.
Is this better? Do I sound okay?
You're 100%
perfect.
normal now.
I have to go back and hear that.
was-
I remember hearing, like, just saw all of your faces, and I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Vidita, tell people who you are, what you do, and what your thoughts were about playing Treasures of the Troll King.
You can find me online at Viditio Valetti. That's my Twitter handle. And similarly, basically that / Viditio Valetti, you know, basically anywhere. I am on Twitch. I'm on at twitch.tv/Viditio Valetti. I do things occasionally there. I'm also on a actual play stream channel called All Nerds Here, where we just finished our season, and next season is going to be in July. So, like, you have a good amount of time to catch up and watch the VODs for our Pasión de las Pasiones game that takes place on a space station. It's a sci-fi telenovela game called Corazon Station. It's wonderful and great. Also, I'm a game designer, and you can find my games at viditiovalletti.itch.io. And I also am a design consultant. So if you're a game designer, veteran or new, and you're just like, I kind of want some eyes on this, or I just want somebody to bounce ideas off of, I have pretty affordable rates. So feel free to hit me up. And in terms of this adventure, I really liked it. I don't play a ton of adventures, but I always find them cool. Like, I love reading them. And so I was really excited to actually experience one. And it was very different, right? Like, in terms of, I was like, oh, this is like a fun kind of, like, I'm like, I know the pitch, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this is going to be, it's going to be full of weird stuff. It's going to be full of gross stuff. But then, you know, I had an idea of the pacing of it, but absolutely was blown away by it. And I love, it just has a lot of character, which I think is great, like in as much of a compliment, you know, as that is.
Awesome. Did you have any questions for Chris?
Is the Troll King, because again, like, how much of this is Sean and how much of this is Chris? Is the Troll King supposed to be somebody who you can just, like, who is a little, like, ambivalent to you, and is more of like a character than a big bad, you know?
So it's not really written in as such. The way they're presented in Mork Borg is that, let me find the exact wording. Where is it? I'm sure it says something about them having rudimentary language. I can't remember though. Short answer is no.
Okay.
But, like, because of the way, like, with, like, more, a lot of games are just like combat simulators, right? But
Yeah.
because Mork Borg, you're so fragile and everything in the world will kill you, there's a very different play style with it, and it's a lot more natural as a player to, like, want to talk to enemies rather than immediately fighting them. And so, like, if you're running it and you're not going to let people talk to the Troll King, you're probably running it wrong, even though there's no wrong way to run an adventure. But, you know.
Right.
but
For sure, yeah.
canonically, he is saying right now.
I'm saying
Yeah.
right now, let your players talk to monsters. It is fun.
It's so much better than like not. And like, do we speak
Oh, yeah.
language? I'm like, well, maybe not, but you can communicate.
I think I'm trying to remember if I put anything in about him being able to communicate, and you'd think, as the person who wrote the adventure, I would know the answer to that question.
I feel like you write about the agency of the Troll King a lot. Like you write as if if the Troll King is making intelligent choices. Like it would prefer to not fight or to run away and live rather than fight, which to me is a sign.
Oh,
of,
interesting. Okay.
Like,
I did write that he can speak. The official, like the canon, is that he speaks in halting, broken language that is a mockery of the voices he has heard screaming terror. But I really like the kind of nonchalant, not give a fuckness that Sean went with. That
That's
was
so
really
good.
fun.
It was a very funny moment for us because I totally had the expectation of like,
Yeah.
oh, we're just gonna go and we're gonna kill this guy. To be like, wait a second.
Hold up.
He's actually being kind of nice to us. I don't know. Maybe we don't kill him. That was really funny.
Mostly because of reaction rolls, actually. So like with the exception of like the big spiders that appeared inside the dog, with the exception of that, everything was like rolled to see what mood you were in. And so a lot of reaction rolls in the loader systems will push the middle to be neutral, whereas Mork Borg pushes middle to be indifferent, which is just kind of almost like that tiny little shift in terminology really almost sells the kind of, I don't know, almost like bored mood of it.
The world doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah,
Right.
like if you make the mistake, it's like if you poke the bear will fucking eat you.
Yeah, it's because neutral implies the world doesn't hate you.
Yeah.
Indifferent implies the world doesn't care about you, and those are two different things. And I really love that difference. No, I would love to hear, and Sean, like you ran this adventure. You ran it for the person who created it. You did an absolutely phenomenal job. I had a blast playing. So tell people who you are, what you do, and then what your questions are for Chris. You probably spent more time with this than any of us. So
I'm Sean Smith. I'm a writer, a magician, a games designer, mostly kind of obsessed with like horror and nostalgia. In various different ways. So my biggest game was a game called Exuviae, which is like procedurally generated horror noir investigations. So a little bit like if David Cronenberg directed The Maltese Falcon. Or my current thing I'm kind of obsessed with, I got into role-playing games because of the Fighting Fantasy game books. And so I'm currently being a little obsessed with a hack that I wrote of one of Nate Dream's games. So his game Tunnel Goons, which won an Emmy because it's wonderful. And he also said that every single hack of it is then also officially Emmy winning. So my Emmy winning Tunnel Puffins, which I've become obsessed with, which is basically thinly veiled Fighting Fantasy references. But in a system that actually you end up, because like you roll 3 dice, it tells you like what your background is, what your occupation is and what you hope to do, and that gives you your items and your stats. And so it's a really nice, basically it's like if you've got 30 minutes around a lunch table at work, you can play that, which is really quite nice, assuming that we can be face to face with people again soon. The artifact of the time that it is. My question for Chris is, how did you get the idea? Was it a case that you built up from the bottom and it's like, okay, I've got a map I like, I troll something I care about, or did you get the title and then run with it that way?
A little of both. The first thing I wrote for it, like I literally was just like, I was bored at work and I thought I'm just going to fuck around and write some Mork Borg stuff. And the first thing I wrote was that intro. The first sentence I wrote was Galgenbecker's palimpsest tumor. And then once I'd written that and I'd had this idea of like the city built on top of itself, I was like, cool, we'll do a sewer adventure. And then I was like, what's really fun and unusual to find in a sewer? And I really love the trolls from Mork Borg, and they're massive and take up a huge amount of space. And I was like, what happens if you drop a troll into a sewer? And then I wrote the sentence about Niduk the Ravenous. And it was one of those things that just kind of fell out of me. So I can't really really tell about where the idea came from because I don't fully know. I just know that I wanted to write a sword adventure and I like trolls. It just kind of went from there. I think the first bit of content I wrote for it was the wishing well and the stolen wishes. But Mork Borg's such a when I first picked up the book and read it, I like fell in love with it immediately as like a system and as a piece of art, and like the world that is really detailed but also really blank unless you draw in your fill in your own stuff. And I just find it really easy and really satisfying to write for. I could write content for this system and this world all day long, and I intend to.
Love it. I actually, knowing that Sean is the one who GM'd, I'm curious because I went through the book in brief because I actually didn't want to take in too much of it because I wanted to just be able to play it, but I'm writing a review for it that I want to have ready in the next couple days. So I got a kickstart on that. The process for developing encounters, there's kind of a role process in yours because not every Mork Borg adventure operates the same way. Lots of them operate very differently based on the way the designer wants it to run. But you had a series of D4 kind of tables that people could roll on to figure out what people were encountering in certain spaces leading up to the final chapel encounter and exploration, which I loved as a concept because it created a lot of flexibility. So Sean, did you roll those out or did you go through and cherry pick some of the ones that you just really thought would be fun?
Kind of both, in the fact that I behaved as if they had been rolled at random and just read them in the order, which isn't something I always do, but it's definitely like I remember a while back I wrote essentially like an expanding encounter table where there's like a D6 entry, and if you would ever roll a double, instead you then just take the next one from like a secondary list, and so it's kind of a tool that I've had for probably about 2 or 3 years that I've been using. Mostly because it means that I don't have to stop in the middle to read the dice. And also because it's innately random, because it's just the order in which it's been put through, and the whole thing was intended to be random. And humans don't understand probability. So I like the idea that it would be really stressful knowing that I didn't roll at random and I just chose in order, which was quite a pleasant thought for me, to be fair.
I love that. Yeah, because I think they're each great, and there's even some limitations. Like there's one set of tables that like roll as many of these as you want to, given the amount of time you want to play, and the other was like only roll on this one time. Like do not roll on this one multiple times.
I stole that from Rock Black Sludge, which is the introductory Mork Borg adventure at the back of the book. That's got 2d4 tables for random encounters, and one is just roll on this one once.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool. I'm stealing that.
Yeah, because it lets you put in things that are going to be way player challenging and may prevent you from even getting to the end. I do actually know, only from our chat also too, and I'm curious if we bumped into it. I know you had mentioned, Chris, that there is something in this adventure that potentially just kills you automatically when it happens. Like there is an opportunity for instant death. Do you remember what that is? And did we hit it, or did Sean just
didn't hit it.
Gently go around it?
The door to the west wall. When you go up to the bell tower, you go into the choir room, which has got a big like pipe organ in it and a load of skeletons lying on the floor with coins on their heads. And I can't remember what the trigger is for it now, but basically,
don't say it, because you don't have to say any more than that, because it would be great if people want to watch it. But there is an opportunity in this game for just instantaneous death, and I was just curious if Sean was gentle and kind with us, or if we just avoided it.
There was another one
playing AD&D. That's how I write games.
There's another one that you did manage to puzzle out as well, because there's like a 1 in 20 chance that anyone who goes within the spore cloud of like that creature that was wandering towards you really slowly.
Charlie, no pie.
So we've got the cat attempting to eat some pie.
This is the best stream ever, y'all. I just want everyone to know that. Like, if you're wondering what pro gamer stuff looks like, this stream is basically a master class in pro gamer shit.
Taking notes.
But yeah, there's a 1 in 20 chance if you come across the like if you step within the cloud of spores that you just die, which again is
that's great. I was totally going to do that.
No, I had an absolute blast playing it. Mork Borg is one of those systems that I always want to play more. And just don't get to the table anywhere near often enough. Which any number of games, but it is like one of the few games that I've really like recently wanted to like run an adventure through or do a little short campaign, knowing that we'll just end up churning through characters. Even when I play on a stream, I will create like 3 characters. That way, if one of them dies very quickly, I just have another one I can snapshot real quick into the chat and be like, all right, maybe a couple doors down we can meet this guy, and I don't have to just sit here and watch y'all play for the next like 3 hours. Because it can be so deadly. But I also just it is 100% kind of falls into the OSR feeling for every single thing that it is, while simultaneously feeling distinct and different from that. And I'm always curious how people approach the way that they do adventures. I think Treasures of the Troll King was not only is it absolutely gorgeous, but the way it was thought out, pulling from that initial book adventure and having those different options for the roll table, the mapping, the layout is absolutely gorgeous. Now that we've finished, I'm going to go back and read it in more detail, but I am super excited to see what happens.
I'm going to run it in 6 EGM-less as soon as possible.
You're going to do what?
Ridiculous game.
If anybody out there has any questions, please let us know. Otherwise, Chris, tell us again one more time. If you guys check the link below, where people can follow your work at specifically, if they're interested in what you do, not just for this Kickstarter, but in general.
Yeah, I'm all over the internet. You can find me on Twitter at Pangalactic, PANGALACTIC. I'm on Instagram at LTRRPG. And you can find my games and stuff at loottheroom.io.
Awesome. It's an absolute blast to play with everybody on here. Thanks to all of you who stuck with us, especially through all the technological hiccups today. It's been an absolute blast playing. I love it when people can just roll with things. By the way, we here, this seems a weird thing to do. If you want to help us prevent internet outages in the future, if you want to help support the channel, I encourage you to become a content champion. Our goal, our hope, our dream here at Plus One Exp is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games and help great players find amazing designers whose games they can love. We try to do that absolutely free for everybody, but I do pay my team to make that content. We have an amazing graphic designer and editor who help pull a lot of those different pieces together. So if you are able to support us at any level, we absolutely love it. Starting this month, we have some different giveaways we'll do on that channel, as well as putting out our games in digital format when we make them and giving you some input into how we run the channel in the future. Speaking of which, we have some great upcoming conversations all week long this week. We're talking with some amazing people about the concept of itch funding, which is how you can fund your games in kind of a kinder, gentler, more intentional way using itch as a platform instead of Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or some other emotionally draining / non-accessible tools that are out there, and really just kind of looking at a place where a lot of indie creators have gathered to share content as a crowdfunding platform. We've got Jeff Stormer, Keegan, Nick from Monkey Paw Games, Adam Bell, Thomas Manuel, Pamu, and Sam Lee, who are going to all be on joining me at conversations at different point this week. We would love to have you come back and join us. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week. And so we are super excited about that community conversation. But until next time, we are all just going to wave at the camera until I take us off stream.